Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
It's like some NFL match game, trying to find the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And you got Deion Sanders sitting out there with some cryptic messages from the people closest to Deion. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I promise we'll get into games. We got divisional round. They call this the best weekend in the NFL. We still have a national champion in college football that needs to get resolved, Pearl. But for now, the news about the Dallas Cowboys parting ways with Mike McCarthy, and then the fact that Deion Sanders gets linked to the team because of a conversation with Jerry Jones, not hours, mere hours after they say goodbye to McCarthy, it's fascinating.
Yeah, you don't have to.
No one's saying no.
Yeah, you don't have to apologize for talking Cowboys today. You got Deion Sanders, you got the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care if the Cowboys are slipping in popularity, which seems like they are. This is like a perfect storm. It'd be 90% of media would be following these two people, Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders. But there, you have to admit, we've been talking about this all week. There is a lot of logic there.
Okay, so I'm somebody who can see the path. All right, I can see the path, how this would work. I said yesterday, Deion Sanders has impressed me with the assistant coaches that he's brought into Colorado. They're taking care of a lot of the X's and O's. I don't think Deion's like that great of a game manager, and I think there's a lot to be desired. But listen, there's no doubt that the team, is pulling in the right direction. They can be disciplined, all that stuff. He can be the leader of men guy, and he's got his Hall of Fame resume to lean back on when you're trying to get the attention of people in the room. So there's a lot of reasons why this can work, and he and Jerry are obviously simpatico, at least now. They don't work together every day, but at least now they're simpatico, and they've kept this relationship going for decades and decades. The one thing about this that I've been really surprised by, it appears that this is Dallas Cowboy fans' worst nightmare. Deion. I don't know if you're picking up on this, but
no.
I felt like I picked up on this a lot yesterday. This was met by the Cowboy fans in my life, at least, and I feel like I have a pretty good idea about this. This was met with a collective groan. And that's not because you don't appreciate what Deion was as a player, and it's not that you don't like Deion Sanders. Cowboy fans don't want this, is the overwhelming sense that I get. Stop making our team a sideshow. We actually want to win a Super Bowl. And Deion Sanders hasn't proven at the college level that he can be a winner. He can improve a program, and they're off to a great start at Colorado. Let's see what they look like without Shedeur. Let's see what they look like without Travis Hunter. But Urban Meyer won national championships, couldn't do it at the NFL level for a lot of different reasons. It's so hard for college coaches to come to the NFL and be successful. Why would Deion be any different than like the average, which is less than 50-50, it feels like.
Well, but with one thing, Deion's an NFL legend. Urban had no connection to the NFL.
That is true.
But Deion played there, so I think it changes everything a little bit.
Okay, maybe. I don't know about you, but I felt like from the Cowboy fans, forget what we want. The media, yes, of course, do we want this? We'd give our left arm for this. We love this. For the fans, though, the ones that really live and die with this team and the ones that are really invested, and it pains them that they have not been back to the NFC title game at the minimum in 30 years. The fact that Deion now is the guy, or is one of the top candidates. He's not the guy. He's one of the top candidates. Has been met with a collective eye roll.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Right. Like this is that. Like we buy tickets for this. Like we actually buy jerseys. We buy tickets. We're the ones who are sweating this out every year. And you're going to take a guy and get rid of Mike McCarthy, who everyone I think was ready for a change. But the guy was winning games, and you're going to do that and go completely 180 to go with Deion Sanders, who has a very different personality than Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, but I think Deion obviously seems like adding to the circus, right? That's what they would say.
Right.
I do think, though, that there is also fatigue amongst the Dallas Cowboys fan, and maybe I'm putting myself in their shoes, of the same old boring hire.
Okay.
Like McCarthy, boring. Jason Garrett, boring. Chan Gailey, boring. Dave Campo, boring. Wade Phillips, beyond boring.
Oh, Wade's a great interview, though.
Wade Phillips is
he's a funny dude, but
literally the most boring hire any team could ever make in the history of the world. Like Jerry one time stepped out of his lane with Bill Parcells.
Yeah,
the rest of them,
that was not boring.
The rest of them, he just wants somebody he's comfortable with. And I think there are fans who are like, just don't do the same thing again. Like, don't run it back, a guy you can control. They don't want a puppet. So maybe there's hope that Deion, the one thing that gives me hope for Deion as a Cowboys coach, and I don't think it's still unlikely,
they're dancing around each other. No one's saying no.
It still seems like there's a long way to go before Deion Sanders is the head coach. But the one thing he went into Colorado day one, cut the entire team. Like, the Cowboys need some of that energy. Like, they need to reset the energy in that building sure.
But he's not going to have any control over that. Like, Deion went into Colorado and told everybody, you better hit the portal. He can't do anything about the roster in Dallas.
Well, I think he can influence Jerry a little bit. They're good friends. Like, I think he could be like, he could scare people a little bit, a lot more than some like Kellen Moore or Cliff Kingsbury can.
Sure.
I think Deion has a little more oomph. I just think
definitely more oomph, definitely more cachet, definitely more, I don't know, attention.
I think Bill Belichick or Deion could go in there and scare people a little more than the hot offensive coordinator. That's what I'm saying. I think there's a hope that it's a radical change. I mean, honestly, like Deion, who would have expected him to take Colorado from a 2-win team to a 9-win team?
A 1-win team.
A 1-win team. Yeah. So I just think it's a little better than Jerry's traditional hire in some senses. Now, listen, it's a big leap. I mean, it's like Deion Sanders has not coached in the NFL. Deion Sanders runs a very unorthodox program at Colorado. You mentioned he has like 10 former assistants. He just does it way differently than all the other candidates, right?
Yeah, but I like that. See, I think that's the number one thing in Deion's corner. Like, you look at some of these assistant coaches who are going to get hired. Like, what happened with Gerard Mayo, right? Gerard Mayo failed for a few reasons, one of which is that he had only spent time with the Patriots and didn't have any Rolodex of assistant coaches. Defense coordinator was first-time coordinator. Offense coordinator was first-time play caller. Every special teams guy was a first-time special teams. Like, no,
but was it Mayo the defensive coordinator?
Well, he was the head coach, but they actually had a defensive coordinator. It was his first time in the role. Deion, at least, he brings with him good assistant coaches.
Yeah, but he's never coordinated either side of the ball. And he's never even Matt Rule. Like, he's not even like he's never done any of the traditional things the coach does, I don't think.
Yeah, well, he's just been Deion Sanders. And I guess the other part, too, that would be in his favor, like, we're not totally knocking this idea. It just, I feel like Cowboy fans are knocking the idea way more than people like us. But I think the other part is you have a program in Colorado that beyond Shador and Travis Hunter were really built on transfers. That was the whole thing. Mm-hmm. They kind of cycled in and cycled out 3/4 of the roster, and they did that in 2 separate years. That can be a little bit more like the NFL. You're trying to get this group of guys to gel really fast. The Cowboys do have centerpieces. You've got Dak Prescott, you've got Lamb, you've got Micah Parsons. You have like the trifecta here of modern NFL football: quarterback, wide receiver, pass rusher. And they have an offensive line that needs to gel, but there's promise there. It's like the last thing I worry about with the Dallas Cowboys, that the offensive line isn't going to come together. I have 30 years of evidence that the offensive line is going to be fine. So
why does it feel like you have the NFL trifecta and then you list the trifecta of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons? Why does that fall just a little flat?
I think because Dak's coming off an injury.
Yeah, and also, too, like, they've had those three and not been a contender.
Well, but they were, okay, I disagree about not being a contender. They've been a 12-win team that had some 1.5 very unfortunate playoff losses. The Packers and this first San Francisco loss to Jimmy Garoppolo. That wasn't unfortunate.
They got their butts kicked in that game. They were behind.
That was a close game.
Yeah, it was a close game, but that wasn't unfortunate. Like, they lost to a really good team, a much tougher team, in my opinion.
So you'll say one bad loss because there was no way they were beaten in San Francisco the year the 49ers went to the Super Bowl.
But we now know they were not within 10 miles of winning the Super Bowl with any of those years. Like, they weren't even in the same universe as winning a Super Bowl. They didn't win a playoff game. Do you think they were going to?
Well, they won against the Bucs. And then went on to lose to San Francisco. They played San Francisco close in both of those playoff games. It was the Packer one that was the real. It started with San Francisco. You lose to Jimmy Garoppolo. No one thought you were losing that game, but, honestly, that 49er team was really close to going to the Super Bowl that year. If they beat the Rams in the NFC Championship game, and they basically had the ball in their hands. And then the next year, you lost to the eventual Super Bowl runner-up, and that you lost to the Packers. I'm sorry. I'm getting my years confused. You lost to Jimmy Garoppolo, and then you lost to Brock Purdy, and then you lost to the Packers. Right? Thank you, EJ, for the heads up. Yes. One of those was really bad, the Packers one. And honestly, I think we all thought McCarthy was getting fired after that. Anyway, the bottom line is I'd love to hear from Cowboy fans because I think that we were more excited on the outside about Deion. I think Cowboy fans have met this with a collective groan. Like, oh, God, we're doing this?
But I feel like I feel like Cowboys fans are going to meet any hire with a collective groan. Seriously, like there's not one person that has a realistic chance of being a Cowboys coach that they're not because it doesn't matter. You can hire 2001 Bill Belichick. What is the issue here? Jerry. You can hire anybody you want. You could bring in Deion. Like that's like at least Deion's a swing for the fences that somebody will counterbalance Jerry. But honestly, I'm not even sure that would happen. The Jerry-ness of it all is overwhelming the whole situation. So I'll bet you Cowboys fans, if you in an honest moment be like, yeah, I'm probably going to be disappointed in anybody because I don't know if there's anybody who can come in here and save this situation.
855-212-4227. All right, let's trace this thing back a little bit, okay? Deion didn't just materialize out of thin air as a potential candidate. We talked about it earlier this season. Let's hear some sound. So here's Michael Irvin, teammate of Deion, hinting that Deion is talking to Jerry Jones about the Cowboys head coaching job. And this was November of 2024. It was during the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight that was on Netflix.
Everybody loves and respect Jake also for what he's done here. To have an ability to not go the normal route and still end up right here, you give him respect. I give him respect like I give my great guy Deion Sanders, who didn't go the normal route, who I'm going to be in Jerry's ear about later. That's just something else we're talking about.
Legacy doesn't mean nothing.
Thank you. We needed a little mic there. Okay, so that's Michael Irvin kind of bringing up Deion Sanders out of the blue, sitting in Jerry world and watching this Tyson fight. Here's Michael Irvin on Colin Cowherd from this week. Excuse me, still back in November, Michael Irvin clarifying the comments on Cowherd.
That if Shador went to the Cowboys, Deion would accept the job.
I believe 100%, and I can tell you, good sources have told me that. Great sources have told me that. That's all I can say like that without violating anything else.
Okay. I wonder who those sources are.
Wait, we don't need Michael Irvin to tell us. If Shador, the question was, if Shador goes to the Cowboys, would Deion coach the Cowboys?
That was from November, though. We didn't know how the draft was going to play out at that point.
Yeah, because again, right, the Cowboys were falling. Everybody was talking about Deion. Like, yeah, of course if Shador goes there. But anyway, we don't need Irvin talking to Deion for that one. But go ahead.
We're building a case. Here's more from Michael Irvin. This one is on FS1's show, Speak for Yourself. And that was yesterday. Here's yesterday, Michael Irvin.
When I talked to Deion this morning, he said to me, now, listen, I can tell you this, we did talk and these things, but Michael, that's it. We can't go any farther with it. I was like, no. I know I got a big mouth. I won't go too far with it, but I appreciate you telling me that because that means good conversations are being had. Not just a conversation, good conversations are being had. And I want to steady ye up and make sure those conversations keep ye going, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Last one for you. This is First Take yesterday. So here's Stephen A., presumably has a relationship with Deion. So Deion does not need to be coaching Shador to be the Cowboys' next head coach.
Evidently, you're prepared to coach without him on a collegiate level. Why wouldn't you be unprepared to coach to coach without him on an NFL level? I don't believe that 1 second. Yeah. I believe if Jerry Jones offers Deion Sanders this job, Deion Sanders going to take it.
Okay. So that's Stephen A's point, which is Deion's about to coach Colorado without without Shedeur and without Travis? Why wouldn't he take a prestige job like the Dallas Cowboys without Shedeur and Travis?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, maybe somebody's feeding that to Stephen A. Maybe he came up with it on his own, or maybe this is Deion saying, why wouldn't I? Look at what I'm about to do.
But there's a lot of logic here. When you put it that way, like if not having Shedeur and Travis and Shiloh at Colorado, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to be an empty nester someday. Why not take a risk? It does seem...
You and Sarah moving to Aruba or something?
Yeah, I mean, Colorado does have a lot of assets that they've been able to collect, but that's a really good point. Like, if Shedeur's not there, maybe his tie to Colorado won't be as strong. I feel like he's done a really good job this offseason so far at Colorado, so it's kind of hard for me to imagine that he's going to walk away for that unless it's the Cowboys. Like, I was actually wondering, sorry, just to change the topic a little, why isn't he pushing to get to a team where Shedeur could possibly be drafted?
We don't know where he's going to go yet.
Because, and also, too, the first two teams, the Titans and the Browns, already have coaches. Yeah, it's too late for the Titans to fire their coach to bring in Deion, right?
Well, yeah, and also, here's the thing. I don't think the Titans are really that well run.
Well, yeah, but is it all about getting Shedeur, though? Like Michael Irvin kind of hinted.
Yeah.
Shedeur is such a big part of this conversation that, say the Cowboys did offer him a job, but Shedeur was somewhere else, would he still be eyeing that job where Shedeur is?
Maybe. I mean, that coach has got to be looking over their shoulder from the moment that they draft
Or
Shedeur.
if
That'd
you-
be number one.
Or if you draft Shedeur and Deion takes the Cowboys job, are you worried that Shedeur is just waiting until he gets to his fourth year so he can go join the Cowboys?
Why wait? I watched Archie Manning put Eli Manning in New York. I feel like I watched LeBron James get Bronny drafted. There are certain people in sports that are just more powerful than other people. And Deion, I think, has that kind of power because he has the power of the microphone.
Wow.
And if he has Jerry behind him, who's also one of the most powerful owners in the NFL, I think we have to wait to see who trades up in this draft and how the board shakes out.
Can that entice Cowboys fans to be more excited about Deion, that maybe you bring Shedeur there eventually?
So the one part about this that people will always bring up when I bring up Shedeur and the Cowboys is you've already got Dak under contract. You have CeeDee Lamb. You're going to have Micah Parsons under contract. You have this win now roster. Like, why are you giving away draft capital for a future quarterback? Like, it does not make sense from a team building standpoint. It does not.
Win what now? You have a win now roster? Get out of here.
It's closer to in theory, a win now than it is a rebuild when you have the most expensive quarterback, the second most expensive wide receiver, and soon to be the most expensive pass rusher.
Yeah, but the reality is I don't feel like they're set up to win now. Like, win at the highest level. That's why I keep saying the Cowboys need a reset. They need to rebuild.
Perloff, let that go.
That's never going to happen.
That dream of yours needs to die. They're not going to reset.
My dream was this fall when Irvin was talking about Deion, like, bring in Belichick and just really build a champion. Build a champion. But you're right. They don't want to be irrelevant. You've always said they just want to be a playoff team.
They just want us talking about it.
But they need to start over if they want to be a Super Bowl team. They really need to kind of clear out some of the debris of the last 5 years. Like
that ship sails the moment they gave Dak $60 million.
Your big three of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons is not convincing me. First of all, I feel like all three are on separate pages. Like, that is not a big three. Like, Micah is off on his own planet. And CeeDee Lamb will start crying once the playoffs start. And Dak's muscle came off his bone. Like, what are we doing here? It just doesn't feel like a Super Bowl trio to me.
Here we go.
And I had another thought about the Dak Prescott injury. When we saw Deshaun Watson get re-injured, I'm like, that never even occurred to me. What if Dak just re-injures this? I mean,
that's a crazy scenario. You think Dak Prescott's going to get hurt? Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. But also the other thing, too, is he can't run anymore. He's a totally different quarterback.
Well, yeah, no, I know. The phones, why not? Let's do it. We're talking about Shedeur and Deion, just Deion, taking over as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Brad's in Alabama. Brad, I thought the Cowboy fans kind of didn't love this idea about Deion coaching the team. What about you?
Well, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I've just not seen anything Deion hadn't tried that he hadn't been successful at. I think Deion would be a better motivator than Mike Tomlin. Not saying he's an X and O guy, but I think he could motivate men to play football.
Brad, I think it's a great point. And the problem is, I think the X's and O's, though, matter like a lot. And I think you need really good assistant coaches. You got to empower them. And at Perloff, the NFL, look at what we're watching, what we're probably going to watch this divisional round. You're going to tell me that we're not going to come in here Monday morning and talk about a bonehead decision that a coach made, going forward on fourth down when they shouldn't have, calling timeout, not calling timeout, all this stuff. I do think the X's and O's do matter at the NFL level.
Counter argument, Nick Sirianni is the second winningest active coach in the NFL right now.
You're right. Sometimes it's
another counter argument. Dan Campbell doesn't really seem to have the playbook right in front of him. Dan Campbell's got the two best assistants in the NFL. Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson are doing the work. So you might have the two NFC title teams might not have X's and O's coaches.
That is true.
Andy Reid is very good at play calling, and also Harbaugh is a motivator. I don't think Harbaugh he flits around to offense and defense. And Sean McDermott, I don't know what he does.
Defensive.
Yeah,
calls timeout before anything happens. Sean, let it go.
That was just a dig at your Bills coach.
Yeah, thank you. No, don't you notice? Well, we'll get to that later.
But we had Matt Mosley on yesterday, Cowboys Report. He said a motivator is what they want.
Yeah, Matt also brought up a candidate that, I'm going to be honest, I was not thinking about. Yeah. And it's not somebody who's been talked about that much during this cycle. And in fact, it's somebody who's trying to dig themselves out of a big personal scandal. So we'll talk about that next. But Cowboy fans, are you excited about Deion? I'm telling you, I was not getting that yesterday. I was getting, oh, come on. Like, oh, come on. This is what we're going to do? And as much as you try to talk yourself into Deion, I think that some Cowboy fans are just not going to see him as the guy who's going to get this team to the Super Bowl. But Brad makes a good point. What has Deion failed at? Prime Academy, probably. One of those high schools. But beyond that, I mean, all of the other stuff seems good.
I have no idea.
What about his music career?
I mean, yeah. What happened at NFL Network? I don't even remember. I think
he just went into coaching.
Yeah.
I don't really know how that ended.
Yeah.
And to be fair, even for Deion's music career, he was on SNL.
Yeah, but I don't think that's part of the calculus here. What has he ever failed at? Like
his music career is not part of the calculus?
No. I mean, the coaching, like, I think that going to 9-3 at Colorado, I do think, like, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on that, like, who they play. Like, did he really build a great team there? Was he, you mentioned it, is he a good X and O coach? There's going to be a deep dive on the Colorado because it's not like Colorado, you should mention Urban Meyer. It's not like they won the title or anything. They were 9-3 in the Big 12.
855-212-4227. All right, let us know what you think. If you're a Cowboy fan, do you want Deion Sanders as your head coach? 855-212-4227 is the number to call. And also, we've got the surprise candidate that Cowboys reporter Matt Mosley brought up to us yesterday. Kind of problematic, maybe, maybe not. Maybe we're all moving on. We'll get to that next. It's MMP.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. We're debating, would Deion Sanders be a good hire for the Cowboys? Maggie says there's an army of Cowboys fans in her life who aren't into it. I'm curious who they are into, because whatever it is, I don't think they're going to get the person they want. That's the way the Cowboys operate. Deion, I do think there's some Deion fans. Just something. Give me something different. Don't give me Mike McCarthy 2.0.
Right. You know, but to be fair, I don't want to revisionist history of this. I actually thought McCarthy was a very good hire. It made sense. You had a guy who was coming off a long run in Green Bay, had been successful. It ends. You wear out, you just, guys have to go their separate ways. Your message gets stale. Maybe he and Rodgers weren't getting along. Who knows? And then you take a year off, recharge, and then you hire that guy. That's kind of like the best case scenario in terms of hiring. Like, I'm not going to kill the Joneses for hiring Mike McCarthy. That felt right at the time. It felt like a smart, prudent move.
Yeah,
he's an offensive guy. He's great with quarterbacks. Like, that all made a lot of sense to me.
I didn't like it at the time. I was like, okay, maybe you're going to milk out a wild card round here, and your offense is good. But honestly, who is more important, McCarthy or Dan Quinn?
Yeah, listen, McCarthy was at first. It was it Mike Nolan? Who was the original defensive coordinator?
I think it was Mike Nolan.
And like there was a mutiny, and then they had to bring in Dan Quinn.
I don't think they were as close. I mean, they had these crazy easy schedules throughout the 12-5 run. The division's terrible for the most part. You got 2 wins over the Giants and 2 wins over the Commanders every year. So that's 4-0 immediately. I don't think they've been that good of a team. Honestly, I don't think they were. You and I think, disagree how close they were to a Super Bowl under Mike McCarthy. I think they were miles and miles away.
I don't know. I watched them beat the Detroit Lions in Dallas last year.
Oh,
Not
my
this
God.
year. This year they got smoked by the Lions. But last year I watched them beat the Lions. I mean,
yeah, because Dan Campbell
imploded.
went insane in the middle of the game.
I watched them win that. I felt like, they were overmatched against San Francisco. That was always the big thing. They could not beat the 49ers.
I think they were overmatched. There was no way that team was getting through the playoffs. They just were not built that way. Honestly, the other thing too is they were so strategically just double team CeeDee Lamb, and the Cowboys have no idea what to do.
The question is, Cowboy fans, you excited about the idea of Deion Sanders? Obviously, we have a lot between here and there, and there's another candidate that was brought up yesterday that I don't think you and I had on our radar for this job.
No.
So Matt Mosley covers the Cowboys for...
it's a Doomsday podcast with Ed Werder, Central Texas ESPN Radio.
Yeah,
he's covered the Cowboys on and off for 25 years.
Yeah, like this.
Knows Jerry, knows everybody.
In the building, every day, knows what's going on as much as anybody who's covering the Cowboys. Here's the name that he brought up that had us kind of stopped us in our tracks. And the name was John Gruden. John Gruden as the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And this is why Matt thinks it will work.
I really think he wants back in. And I think Jerry's the one guy that can make it happen, because while it was, it was a very rough deal when he was fired from the Raiders, and the NFL basically seemingly forced that with some of those emails and things that came out and the controversy off the field. I think Jerry does not mind things like that. Like, Jerry would almost delight in making Roger Goodell uncomfortable.
That was Matt Mosley. Jerry Jones would delight in making Roger Goodell uncomfortable, because if people don't remember the email situation, it was emails when John Gruden was working for ESPN. He was writing these emails to Bruce Allen, who was the head of the Washington football team at the time. And he said a lot of bad things. There were some racist things about DeMaurice Smith, who was the head of the NFLPA. There were homophobic things, and specifically referring to Goodell with a homophobic slur. And I think people believe, or Gruden believes, that Goodell then forced the Raiders to, basically Gruden got to resign actually, but forced them out because Mark Davis first was going to not do anything. He was just going to let this ride. Gruden coached another game after these emails came out, and then another cache of emails were leaked after that. So it was the Goodell part of it that was the whole thing, and that Goodell's kind of blackballed Gruden because of these emails, and that
Right.
Jerry would. Here's the thing about thumbing your nose at the commissioner, though. What about the other people who were offended by what were in the emails?
Well, you mean players?
I would think.
Yeah. I mean, players famously love Gruden, but
It's and that's the weird dichotomy about this. Because
all his former players are like, he's the best. I don't know, not all of them, but a lot of them seem to stand up for him. But I don't know if, like, the potential owner of a team that wants to hire him, I don't know if they would say that to him. Like,
right.
Who knows? Publicly they have supported him for the most part.
It does seem like that.
Yeah.
And then I think there's also a lot of people out there who would say, listen, that was 2012, those emails. Are people not allowed to change? Are people not allowed to evolve?
Do you see John Gruden evolving?
Yeah.
This
guy. John Gruden would be working the fryer at Hooters right now if he could. I just think he's too rich at this point. He might just do it for fun, like as a side hustle.
Is he the coach? I think his first job was Hooters,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
He says he didn't want to quit.
Right. Oh,
His dad made him go to college. He didn't want to. He wanted to work the fryer at Hooters forever. I mean, isn't that every 18-year-old boy's dream?
He doesn't seem like a guy who changes because he seems very comfortable with who he is.
Right. But again, these emails getting leaked probably deserved a lot of self-examination. Right.
And I don't get the sense that that's his jam.
Okay.
I mean, do you think that?
Well,
I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of I've tried to sort of change my outlook on life. I feel like he's not really, especially because it's a court, he hasn't really addressed any of this.
See, we're never going to know what's in John Gruden's heart.
Right.
But as far as recovering from this scandal and, being a guy that the Dallas Cowboys can put in front and say, this guy's going to be a spokesperson and a face of our organization, I think there's probably more people out there that say give him a second chance than say, oh, what was in those emails was so distasteful that he can't ever be a head coach again. I think we all talk about, or the media tries to tell you, I think a lot about cancel culture and everyone's getting canceled. Not really. We're a pretty forgiving country, quite frankly. And I think that John Gruden getting a second job would be even further proof of that.
I don't know. I mean, it seemed like he was in the mix with the Jets, and the Jets had to come out and shoot it down like the Jets. When have the Jets are not the moral arbiter of anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, if the Jets shoot down John Gruden, can you imagine what other teams are thinking about John Gruden? Like, just the fact that he was too much baggage for them of all teams makes me think like there is some baggage here. You dismiss that. I mean, the Cowboys, yes, they seem to go by the beat of their own drum, but they're a big business. Like, they sell that Frisco place, they have the cheerleaders. There's a lot going on. I don't think they're totally PR averse.
855-212-4227. John Gruden, what do you think? And it was actually Lomas Brown who joined us, who is the fantastic player and color analyst for the Detroit Lions, who won a Super Bowl with John Gruden, who told us he thinks he's a great guy. He would definitely give him a second chance.
I mean, a lot of players who played for Gruden have said that. Yeah, he's a player. The other thing too is Gruden's offense is now ancient in NFL terms. I don't know. He's old. His offense was hot 10 years before McCarthy's offense was hot. Like, it feels like, as far as X's and O's, is Gruden the cutting edge guy? I mean, maybe he was a guru when he came in, but now that's a long time ago.
All right, there you go. John Gruden, what do you think as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Matt Mosley covers the team every day. He thinks it's possible. Bogusch is here with headlines. Sorry, that combo went a little long. What do you think about John Gruden of the Cowboys, Bogusch?
I love the idea of Jerry Jones spite hiring anybody. Sign me up for that.
Great.
For the football part, but if he's doing it to get back at Goodell, give it to me.
You like a spite hire?
Absolutely.
Even if it's not the best thing for the football team.
Well, I mean, that's an added bonus for non-Cowboy fans. Like, yeah, hire a guy to take a dig at the commish who may not do a good job and keep your team a non-factor.
Oh, that's
awesome.
The Giants fan.
Everybody wins.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's no way that Cowboy fans, like, what do they care about the axe that Jerry has to grind with Roger Goodell? Innocent bystanders here in some kind of weird revenge war that we don't even understand.
Yeah, but it would be fun. I think if you're a Cowboys fan, it would be fun to make Roger Goodell uncomfortable. I get that. Like, that's
really?
I think everybody roots against Roger Goodell. That's one thing. I mean, the guy gets booed like crazy at the NFL draft still. Everybody
gets
hates
paid
Roger
so much.
Why do the guys who get drafted love him so much, though? I never understood that.
They're just so happy because they just got
they're
drafted.
Millionaires. Well, now they're millionaires in college, so maybe it's different.
NBA players don't do that to Adam Silver, though.
They do a little bit of that. They do bro hug him.
Bro handshake.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, they run up to him and, like, bear hug him.
Remember he had back surgery last year and was like, don't pick up the commissioner. And I forgot who the first guy comes in and just, like, tosses him around. I
mean, Goodell is because he's such a, he's so obviously like a fake suit that everybody hates Goodell. Like, I don't think that booing is fun, but I've never heard of anybody. Man, I really am rooting for Roger Goodell. You're right. The money makes it even worse.
Yeah, he makes $60 million a year or whatever. It's just like,
yeah,
I'm sure his job is probably tough, but any of us would sign up for it.
Oh my God, I don't think his job is tough at all. He gets to go and sit in these owners' boxes. I would love to be commissioner. Everybody would. It'd be the ultimate job. You could go sit in the owner's box of every game.
He got dragged in front of Congress. It's not the ultimate job.
Oh, it's the ultimite job. Because I think it's like you just lie about concussions and you're, yeah.
What referee problems?
Yeah. It's easy. Like, there's only like 3 or 4 things you have to openly lie about and you're fine. You wouldn't want to be commissioner? You guys are crazy.
No, I would want to do it, but I do care what people think and say about me. And the biggest
You're
part of that job
is
now. No, I know, but like, so taking the bullets for all the owners, like that's what he gets paid for. Like, I don't know that I would handle getting booed at every draft site well.
Oh, so you'd be like, don't blame me, blame Dan Snyder.
Well, I mean, I know what the job is, but I'd still feel it.
Well, I think
I
was
get
actually
booed for $60 million.
Yeah.
That's the easiest.
I think I'm good.
Also, $60 million,
I don't think it is.
Like 10 years of $60 million.
Yeah.
He gets to sit in the owner's box, and they have like shrimp in those boxes.
I know, probably lobster too.
Like they sometimes even have like real sushi, and he gets all of that. And he never sits in the cold, which is so weak of him. But yeah, no, this is he gets to go. Like if I was him, I'd be like, oh, I'm commissioner. I'm going to go to see the Ravens Bills. This is amazing.
Oh, I bet he'll be there. It's funny you say he doesn't sit in the cold. He probably can't sit in a regular seat. Someone to throw a beer can at him.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't always agree.
But yeah, you don't have to wait in bathroom lines. You have that little private bathroom in the owner's box. That is amazing. Yeah, he's living the life. And he gets paid a ton to do this.
I think I'm good.
Lots of perks.
Here's a riddle sponsored by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protect them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at progressive.com.
Those are big waffles.
Last night in Atlanta, Trae Young treated the Suns like they were the Knicks.
Trae bouncing it outside with 9.
But he must have lost.
Now he's against Beal. Trae, three-pointer. Bang! That is Trae Young, folks. He has a knack for that kind of thing. It's 117 to 109. The Hawks lead.
You tell him, Steve Holman, Hawks Radio. Trae, a season-high 43 points in a 122-117 decision over the Suns. Phoenix has lost 11 straight in Atlanta. Their last win there, March 24th of 2014.
Are you playing a Trae Young highlight just to troll the Knicks fans over there?
Yes.
You just figured that out today? This has been the whole show.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Get all this information,
But the first highlight, you're right, is a Trae Young. That is like, you're not even messing around.
Well,
now.
there's
you're
no-
just going for the jugular with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real true lead story today, like a playoff game or anything like that. So I got kind of free reign, and we start with Trae Young.
You suck, Bogusch.
Thank you. Jamal Murray scored 45 in the Nuggets' 118-93 win in Dallas. Kyrie was back after missing 5 games with a back issue, but scored just 11 points, missing 14 of 18 shots. Giannis put 30 points, 11 boards, and 13 assists on in the Bucks' 131-15 beating of the Kings. That's how Sacramento's 7-game win streak ends. The Pacers' 6-game run ending with a 127-117 home loss to the Cavaliers, who got 35 points from Donovan Mitchell. While those Cowboys and Deion make eyes at each other, Mike McCarthy interviews for the Bears job today. He's expected to meet with the Saints next week. Now, one of the few things that didn't go the Rams' way against the Vikings was losing tight end Tyler Higbee to a chest injury. Sean McVay, a partial update yesterday.
He's doing better. Don't have any more information, but he came back with us. He has full expectation that he'll be ready to go, but I do not have any updates from Reggie yet.
Higbee, that's Reggie Scott, their head trainer. Higbee went to the hospital during the game after spitting up blood, but as McVay said, he was able to return to L.A. with the team. Guys, back to you.
Football's, these guys are a little tough. I don't think spitting up blood, and he's a maybe.
I don't know. Bogusch is coughing up blood right now.
Yeah, are you internally bleeding?
I feel much better today, but now I can't talk. So I don't know why I came in today.
Yeah.
This is my payback for a Trae Young joke.
This is the universe getting even with you.
This is Jalen Brunson from afar.
This is Willis Reed, God bless his soul, coming down.
That's who it is.
That is the weakest rival, Trae Young. This is the announcer's like, this is what Trae Young does: hit big shots in January. Give me a break.
Yep. 5-point win as well. Is that right?
Over the Suns.
It was a win, unlike the Knicks losing to the Pistons.
Well, again, Trae Young doesn't really necessarily win against the Knicks, but sure, go off with your narrative.
Thank you.
How are the Nets doing this year?
They won last night, actually.
Wow.
They've won more recently than the Knicks.
I was going to say.
Did they beat the Thunder?
The best is
Did the Knicks?
The whole Jimmy Butler saga that's going on in Miami. I don't know if people are really keeping tabs on this.
Yeah.
But it's come to a pretty big, dramatic. It's going to come to a dramatic conclusion because Butler's going to Pat Riley and to his face asking him for the trade and all that stuff. And the only team that can take him is the Nets. They have the cap space because they're openly outright tanking, and they could somehow, which the Nets actually used this to their advantage a couple of years ago, where they took on a lot of terrible contracts from the Lakers and others.
And then you clear the space?
And you parlay it into draft picks because the teams have to attach draft picks to take their terrible contracts. Timothy Mozgov, et cetera, et cetera.
Running to Jimmy Butler, the Starbucks in Brooklyn, would be the highlight of my life. That would be amazing.
He's got his own barista. He's not going to
He's never going to a Starbucks. Yeah, exactly, because of that.
But he might wander around Brooklyn. I see the Nets players on the street, but never the really good ones. I've never saw
what
Durant.
Really good Nets players?
Durant. I never saw Durant or Kyrie.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did see.
They're not just walking around.
What's the guy from Baylor? Prince. I saw him every day.
Torian Prince.
Torian Prince.
You
I
knew
saw
it was
every day.
Torian Prince?
Yes, I did.
He was from Baylor. That's impressive.
Yeah. All right. Oh, get out of here. I'm right now the college basketball expert on this show.
That was impressive. I didn't say it was anything.
Whatever. You were questioning my college basketball knowledge right there.
Perloff watches one Rutgers UCLA game, and he's like, all right, I got a handle on everything.
Hey, this Dylan Harper guy, I don't know if you heard about him. He's pretty good. I'm like, yeah, he's only a projected number 2 pick in the draft.
And then there's Ace Bailey. They've got 2 good guys.
He's like, I don't know about this Cooper Flag. Like, all right, 855-212-4227. All right, that's our jab at Perloff. See you guys on the phones. Deion Sanders, the Cowboys. Is this smart? And also John Gruden potentially being in the mix. What do you think about that, Cowboy fans? 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Dallas Cowboys need a coach. Deion Sanders, candidate at the top of the list, but I got a sense from Cowboy fans they weren't too enthused about this. Feels a little bit more like a sideshow than a real match. Jason is in Montana, wants to weigh in. Good morning, Jason. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
We're great. What's up?
I think if Jerry Jones is going to go all in, he needs to pull whatever strings he pulled back in the day to make the Minnesota deal. I say he signs Deion Sanders to a 4-year contract and just gives up all those draft picks. Use all those draft picks to go get Shaquille and Hunter. Because we're not going to need free agents anymore. I mean, we're not going to need draft picks anymore because all the free agents are going to want to come to Dallas to play for Deion Sanders.
Jason, yeah, Shador and Travis.
Shaquille.
Definitely not getting them both.
I like that. That's a George Costanza running the Yankees play.
I know how to get Griffey and Bonds and not even give up that much. Great.
Yeah, I mean, they got 3 big players. If you want to do a trade, who would they trade? Like, Dak is obviously not attractive because of his salary and his injury, and he has a no-trade clause. I don't think could you offer CeeDee Lamb to get up to number 3?
No, I mean, you're offering future draft picks, right? Like this is.
Well, I'd say but I was thinking a Herschel Walker trade. What if you called the Titans? And honestly, how about that? Who says no in that deal?
Offer them
if you want to.
CD or offer them
CeeDee Lamb
Dak.
and Dak. Forget nobody's taking Dak.
I don't know. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks out there, but. I get it. I'm with you. I want to see what Dak looks like before we.
I think what if you offered CeeDee Lamb? I don't know if you could do this. It wouldn't. I don't even know.
Parsons would be the one, but
they're not offering Parsons.
Well,
that's crazy.
But you're asking what's the thing? If you offered the Cleveland Browns, or even maybe
the
Titans,
Titans,
I don't know, but maybe you don't even have to go all the way up to 1. Maybe Cam Ward's going number 1 overall. But if you offered Micah Parsons, we're talking.
I don't think a team would do that because then that team has to pay Micah Parsons and they get none of the salary cap benefits of the top pick. And they want a quarterback anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, are we trying to shoehorn this thing in? Definitely. But if you're asking what's the most tradable asset to try to get that Herschel Walker deal, it's Micah Parsons. More than CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. But I mean, what is the one thing? The most of the trade value is based on what do I have to pay the guy? So obviously I don't know. But at least they have CeeDee Lamb under some cost certainty. Do you really want to trade for Micah Parsons and pay him $200 million?
But here's the thing. CeeDee Lamb doesn't tilt the field enough for me. He's a fantastic receiver. I wish he was on my team. But he doesn't tilt the field in a way that I think Parsons can.
Yeah. But no. But I don't think, first of all, I don't think Dallas is letting go of Parsons. And you can't give up the chance to draft a quarterback to pay Micah Parsons. That wouldn't make any sense. We're just trying to get Shador and Travis and Shaquille O'Neal into Dallas. So we got to do something radical.
Listen, we all knew what he was talking about.
No, Al says I'm going to knock your ass out.
Al's in Houston. Al, you have a thought for Jerry Jones, how to entice Deion?
I wish I did. A part of it would be let go of his Texas pride for a little bit, but I know that's not going to happen. I appreciate you guys, man. Having a great conversation. The only thing I would throw out is it means to me as somebody who had been a fan and really got interested, but realized that Jerry wants a lot of the credit, wants a lot of the glory. We already got to the Jerry Johnson situation. If he can work on that, could he find himself saying, look, because I'm the type of guy to look at a managing standpoint. Look, we can look at Buffalo, but we can Colorado. We can also look and say, okay, what if you extrapolate? If we put our Corn Ferry hat on real quick and extrapolate what we look at Deion and say, is he a decent manager? Do we see what he's doing? Can he do that same thing in this corporate organization? And when I look at Deion, I'm like, yeah, he can still execute the job as an executive, as a coach, but also as a person who can actually bring more eyes, bring more passion back to the Cowboys. And in my case, give me hope that they can actually do better in the playoffs.
Al, I'm sorry, we're up against it, but I applaud you because you sound like someone we would all like to work for. You sound like a good manager. You bring up Corn Ferry.
Yeah, I don't think the Cowboys are a Corn Ferry team, though, are they? We have to check that.
I don't know, but Al sounds like, somebody who's thinking about this from a global perspective.
Yeah.
Like, is Deion Sanders somebody who can come in and be the CEO of a football team? And I think the answer to that is obviously yes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin telling teams, don't waste your time. Don't even call. Not getting traded. He's not going anywhere. Season 19, locked and loaded. Mike Tomlin's going to be back, bro.
Why would anyone think any differently? Why would we think that, first of all, that anyone was going to give a first-round pick for Mike Tomlin? Maybe. But even though, like, Mike Tomlin is this... Steelers don't change coaches. I don't know why we talk ourselves into thinking Mike Tomlin's going somewhere every year.
Well, I think because Steeler fans, a lot of them are fed up because you haven't won a playoff game in nearly a decade.
Yes.
And what's going to change? Well, I know there's teams that would kill to just make the playoffs, but there's other teams where the standard is just a little bit higher. You're not just happy to be there. It's not a participation trophy.
That's all true, and that's a great point. And he coached a terrible, terrible game this weekend, but that doesn't change anything. Like, he's not going anywhere. The Steelers don't change coaches.
So let's hear from TJ Watt, because a lot of things have been said about the Steelers over the last 48 hours or so. So here's TJ Watt. This is after the game. So obviously, guys are cleaning out their locker. Maybe it was Monday. Cleaning out your locker. He said, things need to change in Pittsburgh.
The city deserves it. His team deserves it. The guys in his locker room, we deserve it. Working hard. We just need to get it right. And I say that every year. I think it's more and more frustrating as the years go by. Tough conversations need to be had. Can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Yeah, let's dive into that. What exactly are you talking about, Teach? Because, is he talking about the offense? Because the defense is the most expensive defense in the NFL 3 years in a row. So I don't know if he's talking about the defense. I think he's talking about the offense.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So is he talking about the offensive line has to be better? Is he talking about they need a quarterback? Is he talking about wide receivers? He's probably talking about a little bit of all of it.
No, I think he's talking about the...
Do you think he's talking about coaching?
The offensive coaching is what I would be talking about. Like, who knows if the offensive line is good? Who knows if the players are good? They call the dumbest plays in the history of the planet.
Well, then, okay, that's offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, but by extension, we're assuming that Mike Tomlin gets to hire his coaches.
Well, that's the thing. Mike Tomlin stuck with Matt Canada when everybody, even casual 8-year-old NFL fans, knew that Matt Canada was not the man for the job. And Tomlin didn't wear that. And he went out and he hired another conservative offensive coordinator. So it's a matter of style and preference. Mike Tomlin now wants to win conservatively. For some reason, there was this brief time when he had Big Ben and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
Right.
And they were great on offense. But he just seems more comfortable being a defensive coach. So to me, that's the problem. It's a philosophy problem.
Okay, so we're talking about the offensive philosophy. We're talking about the biggest question mark going into next season for the Steelers, which is who on God's green earth is going to play quarterback? Well, Russell Wilson is raising his hand.
That's the plan. Obviously, I love it here and everything else, and I think we have a great football team. Obviously, it didn't go in the way we wanted it to, and I think there's a lot more to do. And I said to you guys before, I always just trust God in the process and all that.
Be careful, though.
Spicy. If my suggestion to Russell Wilson would be, I hope you rented and didn't buy. I know that he's got more money than we could ever hope for, but I don't know if he's going to be sticking around in Pittsburgh. Now, Justin Fields, on the other hand. Let's hear Mike Tomlin. So first off, saying the Steelers have to do a full evaluation of the quarterback situation.
Obviously, we don't have a quarterback under contract, and so We got some major discussions there. It was a really good experience with the 3 quarterbacks that were on our roster this year, individually and collectively. We certainly are open to considering those guys, but there's a lot of work ahead of us. And the major work, obviously, starts first and foremost with just understanding what our options are.
Right. Who's available? Tomlin said he and Omar Khan are going to spend half the day just figuring out who's on the board potentially. But Tomlin is impressed with how Justin Fields approached the season.
I thought that the way that he managed his professional circumstance was really impressive. I thought he brought an urgency to his day-to-day work regardless of his role. I thought he got continually better within our system of ball.
I think Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback next year because you spend that half a day, Pearl, and you start looking around at the quarterbacks. Well, I don't know if Sam Darnold did himself any favors in the last 2 games of the season. You and I argued about that all yesterday. But Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, I don't see a lot of amazing, game-changing, life-changing, franchise-altering options.
What if I spiced up the Aaron Rodgers a little bit and gave you Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers as a combo?
What are they, a package deal now?
I think so. Because the Jets don't keep Rodgers. Isn't the report that they won't keep Adams as well? Adams is getting older and expensive. So Adams is floating out there. Maybe you could get both of them to come and fix sort of your wide receiver problem simultaneously.
Well,
that makes it a little spicier.
Maybe, I guess. Do you think Devontae Adams, though, doesn't he still want to get paid? Aaron Rodgers, I think, is operating maybe in a different, like, I'll take a little bit less.
Well, the Steelers don't have a quarterback, so they have to have money.
Yeah, I mean, they spend a lot of money on the defense. There should be money for the offense. The salary cap's going up. But I know what you think about wide receivers over the age of 30. You basically think they should be taken behind the woodshed.
Yeah, but he was pretty great at the end of the last year. There are a few exceptions. And they just need a possession receiver. They have the deep threat in George Pickens. Now, I don't know if they'll keep him. I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. That seems like a mess. But honestly, like, you're right. Like, beggars can't be choosers. Do I want Aaron Rodgers to be my quarterback at 41 in Pittsburgh? No, but he's better than Justin Fields, and Sam Darnold is better than Justin Fields too. You don't think they would take Sam Darnold over Fields?
Well, I saw a smart person say this yesterday. It was former GM Mark Dominic who said that he's got a podcast. He said, if you're going to get Sam Darnold, you got to bring that whole offense. Like, it worked with Kevin O'Connell. So that offense, you can't just have Arthur Smith there running Sam Darnold like that. You have to have that same exact Minnesota offense. And you're not going to have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, but you have to run the exact same thing because clearly that's the best thing for Sam Darnold.
That makes sense. Yeah. By the way, the Steelers have a lot of cap space next year, so they're in play. I mean, then bring in somebody from the Shanahan tree. Like, just get it going. Like, stop all this nonsense with Arthur Smith, who seems like a smart guy. Don't get me wrong, but if you're down 21 points and running on first and second down, and everyone on earth knows you have no prayer of those plays working, he's driving me crazy. I had the over on that game.
855-212-4227. Now, that's really a you problem now, isn't it?
No, it was a Arthur Smith problem. Russell Wilson could have thrown for 500 yards against the Ravens. I like finally dropped back and just like boom, 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 boom. You know, Russell Wilson had 123 rating in that game. Like, he was great. He had never had a chance. Because one, Mike Tomlin ignored the fact that Lamar Jackson was running on every play. It's like someone gives smelling salts to Mike Tomlin. Like, the Ravens aren't even disguising their offense right now. They're just running it down your throat, and you still are not adjusting.
See, that's the most demoralizing part of it. And that's the part that Mike Tomlin, I think, 2 things that he really had to answer for. Listen, you lose to a better team, okay. 2 things you got to answer for. Why did it feel like the Ravens were running the same play over and over again, and I don't know what adjustments were made to try to stop it. Maybe there were none. And then the second thing is, why did guys look disinterested at times on the defense? Now, maybe we found that out because apparently the flu was going around. So maybe guys were just so sick as dogs they couldn't give their best. Because I don't generally associate the Pittsburgh Steelers with teams that quit. In fact, the opposite.
But, no, right. It doesn't feel like a Steelers problem, but the video evidence was very clear. Like, you could just see the safeties sort of lollygagging around the field.
Yeah.
Not just put a helmet on someone.
I'm going to be honest. I'm with TJ Watt on this one. what's really going to change here? You've had opportunities, Perloff. You mentioned, well, you're not paying a quarterback, so that means you've got all this money in free agency that you should be able to play around with. Well, that's been the case for years now. Years. They haven't been paying a quarterback for a long time. And so why now with a potential, and it's not going to be as cheap as their quarterback room from this year. There's no shot. That was the cheapest it can possibly get. You paid like $1 million for Russell Wilson, and I think $1 million for Justin Fields. Like, it was nothing. And I haven't seen them really go crazy in free agency. And maybe that's discipline. Maybe you don't overpay for Brandon Ayuk. Maybe you don't, or you would have to trade for Ayuk, but maybe you don't overpay for guys. But why would I expect anything to be different? See, that's the whole thing about the Steelers. They're stuck. And they keep doing the same things. Like, we don't expect other teams to change their stripes, right? We don't expect all of a sudden Jerry Jones to stop meddling. We don't expect, the Bears all of a sudden to be, produce this amazing quarterback. Like, sometimes you're kind of like hoping a prayer. Where's the evidence that things are going to change in Pittsburgh?
Is that a serious question? There is more evidence that of all 32 teams, less is going to change in Pittsburgh than anywhere
Exactly.
else.
So
Yeah, that's what I said.
saying.
I said this is a waste of time to even think about Tomlin leaving. There's no Tomlin leaving.
I know,
he
but-
is there forever.
But you're saying, Aaron Rodgers, I'll give you Devontae Adams, and they've got all this cap space. They've had all these things. Not Rodgers and Adams. They've had cap space. They've had all this opportunity. They've had a cheap quarterback. They haven't done jack.
Well, I know. I just think they need a quarterback next year. Maybe of those options you gave me, I might look at the Rodgers-Adams combo. Honestly,
to be fair, they brought in Patrick Queen.
I'm very interested in Rodgers to Pittsburgh, just personally as a fan. I don't love that they be quite conservative on offense, but of that group, I like that the most because you'd have to commit to Darnold for a while. That's not good. So I do think to talk about Tomlin leaving, he's right. Don't waste your breath. Like, Tomlin is the Steelers coach for life if he wants it.
It's like the Supreme Court over there. Mike is in Youngstown, Ohio. Kind of likes what Perloff is putting down here. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how you doing? I kind of do. So, as a lifelong Steelers fan, I'm as frustrated as everybody with the lack of change. I think Rodgers is a good option for us for next season. Number one, we need somebody that could teach George Pickens how to be an NFL player. He has so much talent. I don't want to just throw it away, and I think Devontae Adams might be able to help him. Also, with Rodgers, I think it's a guy that Tomlin will trust and respect enough to open up the offense. Like Perloff made a point earlier about, for a little bit there, we had an open offense with Big Ben and with the Antonio Brown and the Killer Bees. That's because Tomlin trusted Benny, trusted Antonio Brown, and frankly, the Ryan Shazier injury cost our defense during those years, or I think Tomlin has a second ring. I would also take a mid-round flyer quarterback this year to sit behind Rodgers. Maybe you get lucky, like the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts. Maybe you get lucky, like the Seahawks did back in the day with Russ. If not, and we bottom out, who cares? Let's take somebody early next year. Because, frankly, drafting at 21, we don't have a chance to really get a first-round guy this year.
So you're like thinking also, maybe a Jalen Milroe or someone like that maybe falls in the second or third round.
Yeah, maybe like a Quinn Ewers if he comes out, Kyle McCord, like just somebody take a shot. And if it doesn't work, fine, they're a backup. And then we could take a first-round pick in another year or two. This is only really the second year we've had cap space. I know the defense is expensive. It got old. But I think if Tomlin had a quarterback he respected and trusted, it would allow us to open up the offense a tad.
Yeah.
I don't think he trusts Justin Fields, and I don't.
No, he
doesn't.
Last
year, this time, he told us the starter was on the roster already, and we see what happened to Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. You know what I mean?
Mike, you're right about the Fields thing.
His end of the season press conference.
Mike, thank you. Good points all around, and you're right about the Fields thing. I just thought maybe second year on the offense, maybe you do get a little bit more trust if you're going to keep Arthur Smith, but the Steelers were 4-2 and they put Fields on the bench. And we barely heard from him.
Yeah, right. That's a great point. So it doesn't feel like they're strongly committed to Justin Fields. And he came in, in his little packages, he never looked great. I don't blame him. It's not Fields' fault, but yeah, I don't know what the future holds for this team. It feels like they're going to be 10-7 for the rest of my life.
Can I you bring up a point about putting Rodgers and Devontae Adams, kind of bringing them both to Pittsburgh, right? Solves a couple problems for you. Does it feel a little like, all right, you got the band back together in New York.
Yeah, but that's the Jets. They're so dysfunctional.
So now we're getting the band back together for the third time.
That's no problem. I mean, because the Jets don't count. Like, they're such a non-franchise that it feels like the second time. No offense, but I mean, obviously, like
offense taken.
I mean, EJ, come on. Nobody's going to even count. Like, at the end of the day, like, when Rodgers, they look at his legacy, they're going to say, oh, well, that was the Jets.
Backing up the fellas.
Look at.
He says this has been the most meaningful time in his life.
I actually did a statistical thing on former Jets quarterback. The year after you leave the Jets, you go up 20 points in passer rating automatically. It's like science. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Brett Favre, and then Rodgers next year. Watch, he actually had a high rating this year, but he's going to go up another 20 points. He was at like 91. He'll go way higher next year.
I don't think you really scientifically did that.
No, I did. I have it in one of my Athlon stories. I look at all the passer ratings between the Jets year.
Well, Geno sat for 5 years after
were
that.
Babies too, so like that's like kind of unfair.
It's not unfair.
How about Ryan Fitzpatrick?
That's pure science.
Well, Geno was a rookie or whatever. He was a young player, and Sam Darnold was a young player.
Well, I took the highest passer rate. Yeah, but I mean, come on. Like, obviously, you put a Jets filter on any player. Like Sam Darnold, I tell you, his 19 touchdowns and 13 picks in his second year of the Jets, that's one of the great seasons of all time. To do that as a Jets quarterback, that's like Brady throwing 50 touchdowns with Randy Moss. That was incredible.
Let's go to Dan. He's in Northern California. Wants to talk about the other big news story of the day, which is a possible marriage between Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders. What's up, Dan?
Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, it was worth hanging on. Actually called Amy in the previous segment to talk about Tomlin. It was like a 2.5-hour conversation she had with everybody.
Amy's
they're not giving up on him.
No.
I don't know about Rodgers, though. I think he's over the hill. But anyway.
What about Deion? Can it work in Dallas?
We've gone up against the Cowboys and, John Brody versus Staubach way back in the early 70s. So many championship games, NFC championship games. So I've always had my eye on them. I was thinking they needed Devontae Adams to go with CeeDee Lamb to help him out,
Dan, you're right about that. Here's the funny thing about that, and thank you so much for the call, and shout out Amy and the overnights. I think that let's talk about Deion's attractiveness in terms of the idea about free agents wanting to play for him, right? That's a very college thing. The NFL, I never really felt like that was real. It was more like player to player as opposed to player to coach. But then again, people did want to play for Tomlin. So
quarterback might draw somebody. You might want to play with a certain quarterback.
Exactly, but head coach?
Let's see. I mean, the good head coaches usually aren't free agency teams, right? Because if you're a free agency team, that things are already off the track. Generally, great teams don't use free agency, right?
Well, do people want to flock to play for Andy Reid?
Nah, they're a draft and build team. No, yeah, you're right. It doesn't really work like college. I don't know that you can do the transfer portal thing.
We've gotten 2 calls about that now, so now I was like, all right, maybe we should address that because the idea that you can expend draft capital to try to get Shador or whatever pie in the sky thing for the Cowboys because free agents are now going to just want to come there. I feel like that's more of a college thing than a pro thing.
Well, one thing, eventually when Shador and Travis get the free agency, if Deion's your coach in 5 years, if you could put Deion on some kind of hold where you're coming with me in 2028 when those guys hit the market, then we got something there. But you're right, it's hard. And also the Cowboys don't do free agency at all. So what if all of a sudden they're going to start jumping into free agency? So no, that doesn't seem like a real plan. It's a really good point because I was kind of, when the caller said that, I'm like, oh yeah, people want to come play for Deion, but it doesn't work like that.
Not on the pro level. I don't know. 855-212-4227. Yeah, teaming up with old teammates, quarterbacks. We just talked about Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know about coaches.
By the way, more the Jets filter. Zach Wilson's highest Jets passer rating was 77.2. Guarantee he will do the 20. Guarantee he will have a 97.2 rating. He's going, and he had a 100 rating in preseason.
Well, he's never going to start again, is he?
Definitely going to start again.
You think so?
I think you guys are underestimating what a Jets player does to a quarterback. I've just listened to Sean Payton. Sean Payton's like, this is a starter in the NFL. The Jets ruin everybody. And that's not even a hot take. That is the most obvious fact in the history of the NFL.
Well, I was trying to think about this when it comes to, because now we're in the head coaching carousel, and you're welcome to call in about Deion to the Cowboys, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to call in about Mike Tomlin's future with the Steelers or what the Steelers do to get themselves out of this particular rut. But I was thinking about the coaching carousel part of this, and what coach has ever left the Jets in better shape? What coach has left the Bears in better shape? What coach, like there's teams where it's like your stock just kind of plummets.
You mean, so not like the team was in better shape. You mean the coach himself, like it's a career killer.
Exactly. Like
Right,
I was thinking about that with somebody
killed
like
Rex, killed Gase, killed everybody.
The Raiders. Are people walking out of the Raiders just like, all right, well, that didn't go as well as we hoped, but I'm still a viable candidate other places. I guess John Gruden, one scandal and 10 years later or whatever. Some of these places, I feel like you don't leave, you never leave better off. Like,
I mean, Gruden left the Raiders the first time better off. That was when Al Davis was still alive.
Sure.
But yeah, no,
like
you're
Mike
right.
McCarthy might get hired again. And this, like, by all accounts, didn't go great in Dallas. He didn't do what he set out to do. He didn't get them back to the Super Bowl. He didn't win. I think he's still a viable candidate.
He won a little more than you're going to win with the Raiders, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
You go to the Jets, you go to, like, you're just not leaving, like, it's probably going to be embarrassing. Maybe not even because of you.
Well, I mean,
we get one expose a year about the Jets.
But
you said you can set a watch to it. The season
also,
ends and you find out that Woody Johnson's kids are running the team through Madden.
That's bizarre. Also, in part because they're covered by a lot of people. There are a lot of reporters in New York. But the thing about it, if you lose, I don't think it's necessarily just Jets. If you lose, if you're on a team a franchise that loses and loses, aren't the Jets the losingest franchise the last 10 years?
No, the Giants also.
The Giants and the Jets are 1-2. Like, bad stuff is going to happen. By the way, Pete Carroll left the Jets and got a big job.
But went to college.
Yeah, I know. It's not easy. Yeah, it takes a lot of work. Who was the Jets coach last year? I can't remember.
Robert Saleh.
Oh, right, Saleh.
And
Saleh
apparently
actually
he's got some buzz for the Jaguar job.
He seems like, but I think he's going to get like a high-end defense coordinator. It feels like he'll be back. Do you guys get the sense he'll be a head coach again? Because I totally do. The fact that he got interviews for head coaching now, after that year, amazing.
What helped him is that the defense got worse after he left.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
Also, I think people love Robert Saleh. I think he's very popular in the league.
855, sorry, EJ.
I was just going to say real quick, there are a lot of guys with the Jets and some of these other organizations where you may get another job, but it's always going to be a worse job. It's kind of like the NHL head coaches. So, like, Eric Mangini, okay, you'll coach again with the Browns. Rex Ryan, you'll coach again with the Bills before Josh Allen got there.
Yeah.
Like, these guys, Robert Saleh, okay, you can coach again, but you got to take the Jaguars. Like, you're going to you're just shuffling through these bad owners.
Right.
So
you're not leveling up.
No, there is no level up. Exactly.
Right. 855.
Guy glows in the dark.
212-4227. It's a good point. Okay, lots more to do, including I didn't love what I heard yesterday from the Packers. Tell you why next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Can I just say one thing before we get to Bogusch's update? We do a lot of dumb things on the show in a really good way. I think our great debate that is coming up next hour might be the dumbest great debate we ever have, and I absolutely love it, and I cannot wait.
Define dumbest.
Dumb in like a really good way, like, you know, all sports arguments are somewhat irrelevant in the big picture. This might be the most irrelevant. And I've done about 2 hours of research on it. I'm not going to say what it is, but it is dumb in the best way a sports debate can be.
I still don't even know your pick. I don't know Bogusch's pick. I know EJ's. Manny, I don't know your pick. I'm in the dark on all of your candidates here. We're not going to give it away yet.
What I like about it is that it is very subjective, maybe more so than other ones, because I think whatever your answer might be, it's because people in the host city, so to speak,
right,
will have a different answer than like mine because that's a personal answer.
See, I think we're going to, well, I don't want to give too much away. We do our great debate at the top of the hour every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I don't want to give too much away, but I think that even in, I think it's not that regional. I think
but
there
see,
are some fan bases that want to forget all this stuff.
Well, but see, I know what Manny's answer is, and in my head, technically, it's not a good answer because it doesn't. I don't think
Doesn't
this
fit the
person
criteria.
applies
Got it.
because I fill in the blank.
Okay. We just confused the heck out of everybody. Top of the hour.
Myself included.
Great debate. Perloff believes is the dumbest and also the one you are most waiting
Yes,
to
I think
deliver.
that it's going to go in our Marconi reel for outstanding excellence in radio field. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, it's funny when I go to all these like radio things
Yeah.
and I was honored enough to get an award earlier this year. They never bring up like the chili and the tuna jello. They never bring up our sillier things.
When you judge some Emmy reels, right? Do you ever see a topic like this come up on the Emmy reel?
No, and I wish it would.
It's always like a heartfelt, like a
Yeah.
and that's when I realized my dad didn't love me.
Yeah.
Not this topic.
It's a lot of like sad news out of
Yes.
a lot of Emmy roles start with sad news out of so and so. You guys want to bring up all the times the Bills failed? Yeah, I'm going to think about alcohol. That one didn't make the reel. I could do an hour on Emmy voting. Once you see how the sausage is made, they need a new system.
You're an Emmy voter?
I have been. I actually stopped because it's so beyond time consuming. There are 17 people were nominated for the category that I voted on, which was Best Studio Host for Sports. 17 people. Everyone's reel is 10 minutes long, and you have to watch the whole thing before you can submit your vote.
So
it's a rating scale.
Logistically can't even click a button until you get through the video?
Until you get through 10 minutes of 17 people. They tell you on the outskirts, like, you can't wait till the night before. You're never going to make it.
So you have to, I hope at least SVP put in bad beats or something fun.
No.
But, by the way, like it was...
No, the three people I gave the highest marks to, all three did not win.
Joe Flacco?
Was anyone here nominated 5 times for Sports Emmy for Best Studio Show? Oh, yeah, I was. Manny, you probably didn't even know that, did you?
Quit asking questions.
Wow.
Can you bring up the 5? I mean, it is an honor just to be nominated. I'll
my
give you
God.
that. But
That's all I got.
5 L's.
Wait, did you win? Yeah, you sound like the Bills.
Get out of here.
You sound like the Bills. What are we taking out the whole studio today?
Look, they were a circling firing squad. Like Michael Scott and
Andre
Dwight.
Reed made the
got
Hall of
guns against
Fame,
each other.
EJ. Did he? I think he did. Andre Reed made the Hall of Fame, did he? Yeah. I'll take being the Buffalo Bills in this industry. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, it's fun to make fun of Maggie because they never win, but still.
Thanks.
5 nominations, that you can't give me a hard time for that. We were shocked every time we got a nomination.
DP show's an all-time show.
Yeah, but we were up against Sports Center, which had a cast of like 17,000. We were like 11 dudes in a basement in Connecticut.
Pulled it off, though.
Yeah, and Dan has obviously a shelf full of Emmys. So for him, it was just gravy on top. But yeah, no, I will never vote for that because it sounds like an HR, when you have to watch those HR videos.
Oh, God. At least those I don't know. It's just I couldn't do it again. It was way too time-consuming. It felt like a part-time job.
I like those HR videos because it's about like workplace harassment, and I like to not watch them and then take the quiz at the end and see how well I can do.
You guys think losing 5 times is rough or not rough? I lost when there was a three candidate answer and was a co-winner. So there was 3 documentaries. 2 were announced as co-winners.
And you lost?
And I lost. So you want to talk about that. Like, that's a rough loss.
Boom, 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 boom.
That's amazing. Hey, by the way, speaking of those HR videos that you have to watch, everyone has to watch these about like sexual harassment and inclusion and stuff like that. Do you know that NFL teams have to watch one of these before they start their head coaching hiring?
Oh, on the process of
So every person who's in the room, I read about this yesterday, every person who's in the room who's potentially involved in hiring a new head coach has to watch one of those hour-long videos that kind of always starts like a porn, but then never, it's like, hey, Sally.
Never gets there.
Never gets there. Ultimately ends with, Jackie coming in and ruining everything, the whole mood. But they, like Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, they all got to sit down and watch this thing.
Guys got a set on them.
You think Jerry's watching that?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Can you pay somebody to watch that for you?
Jerry would probably watch the normal HR videos. He'd be like, What do you mean, Diana said? I mean, Bill asked her out 4 times after she said no. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
You know what?
5th time's the charm.
Yeah. I always watched one recently.
Just offer to pay her kids college.
There was a scenario, I'm sorry for dwelling on this, where the guy actually is like, hey, Diana, I see you got a new number. I found it through the computer system. I'm like, dude, take a hint. This isn't funny, but it's the most ridiculous scenario. She's like, no, I don't want to go out with you. And if you talk to me again, I'm going to HR. What about Friday?
He always can't get the hint.
They don't get the hint.
Jerry will watch these videos and think it's a real movie.
Yeah,
he would go to Steven like, hey, Steven, I watched this crazy movie with this guy who just kept asking this girl out. And then all of a sudden the work people said he was at fault. I couldn't believe it.
What are we going to do about these strippers?
That's the question at the end of the film. What do you do about these strippers,
boy.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Response A, invite them to the work party. All right, Bogusch, save us.
Guys, noted college basketball expert Andrew Perloff thinks the sport has a problem because the SEC, the football powerhouse, is the best conference in hoops right now. And I guess they proved that again last night.
Grill throws it open in the front court. Pierce, folks, Missouri's done it. The Tigers have come to Gainesville and knocked off the 5th-ranked Gators as Missouri picks up its first road win against the top 5 since 2012. Mizzou announces its arrival to the SEC with the win over number 5 Florida, 83-82.
That's from Learfield. Unranked Mizzou ending the Gators' 16-game home winning streak. We also had number 4 Alabama losing at home to number 21 Ole Miss, 74-64.
Nobody wants this. SEC is supposed to be good at football. Now they're not even good at football because of NIL, and now they're good at basketball. What's going on here? It's like cats and dogs living together. This doesn't make sense. ACC is good at basketball. SEC is good at football. This is the way it's always been. I am not ready for change here. Boom, 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 boom.
What about the Pac-12?
What about it?
Yeah.
Water polo.
Out of that ACC, by the way, 3rd-ranked Duke handled Miami 89-54 behind a career-high 25 from Con Knipple. Cooper Flagg throwing in 13.7 rebounds and 6 assists. In the pros, Jamal Murray scored 45 in the Nuggets' 118-93 win in Dallas. Trae Young had 43 as the Hawks down the Suns 122-117. Donovan Mitchell put up 35 as the Cavs won in Indy 127-117. And Keon Johnson, who definitely fits in this group, scored 20 for the Nets in Portland.
Russell moves it right. Keon Johnson a 3. It's good for Keon. Timeout. Chauncey Billups. Net lead is 15.
Chris Carino on Nets Radio. Brooklyn throwing him off the scent of the tank, snapping a 5-game skid, 132-114 in Portland. The Houston Texans waived wideout Deontay Johnson yesterday instead of getting him ready to play the Chiefs on Saturday. That's 4 teams to move on from Johnson this season. Apparently, he's an obnoxious Knicks fan. The Steelers traded him to the Panthers, who dealt him to the Ravens, who released him, allowing Houston to pick him up and now say goodbye. The Browns are, thank you for the laugh. The Browns are promoting tight ends coach Tommy Rees to offensive coordinator, a position he has held at Alabama and Notre Dame already. Rees replaces Ken Dorsey, who was fired after 1 season. Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, Coco Gauff, and Jessica Pegula among the winners on day 4 of the Aussie Open. And from the NHL, the Flyers could not cool off the Blue Jackets. The Columbus win streak is now 5 after a 3-2 shootout win. Guys, back to you.
I couldn't give you a courtesy laugh, Bogusch, because I was deep in research. I'll give you one guess about Con Knipple's siblings. What letters do you think they all start with?
I just saw this the other day.
W.
This is something that's become, I think, kind of predictable. For some reason, people with K's like to repeat them. It's like the Kardashians all were K's. Con Knipple's brother, Kingston, Cash with a K, and Kid Knipple.
Kid. Like he's
Kingston,
a Wild Wild West star.
And Cash with a K.
That's up there with Brick.
Yeah, kind of sounds like it. Old money.
I don't know where the video is from, but I saw this like 2 days ago just to meet all of them. And the 2 older ones, boys 2 and 3, are on the same varsity team in Wisconsin or Minnesota. And then the younger brother is the star of the junior high school team. Kid.
Kid. I'm sorry. Kate. There's Kager, too. I missed one. Con, Kager, Kingston, Cash, and Kid.
I don't think Kid can be a name of a kid.
Why? People name their kid Guy.
Yeah, it doesn't fly. It's like the Devils having a jersey that says Jersey.
Well, but they're trying to do a clever play on words there.
I don't think they were being clever.
New Jersey.
I don't think they realized what they were doing when they did it.
Wait, what? Explain this to me like I'm an idiot.
The Devils' alternate jersey just says Jersey on it, which obviously people say I'm from Jersey, but
so you're
it
saying
just looks funny that it just says Jersey.
It's
like
Jersey
we know
on
it's
a jersey?
Yeah.
That's like having a shirt that says shirt.
Yeah.
They also have a hat that says hat on it with that same lettering.
I disagree with that. I think New Jersey could get away with having a jersey that says Jersey. That's different than just being shirt. Like, there's no state named New Shirt. I'm going to give
now
them a pass.
Or old shirt for that matter.
Would you wear a hat that just says hat?
It's logical, I guess.
You guys aren't bothered at all when people name their kids and it's all the same letter?
Yes, very much so. And this is probably named by a person named James and Nicole as well, who don't have K's in their name.
I would think so. Oh, no, Con's the second, so I'm assuming Dad is Con.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe this, but this random take you have right now plays very much into my great debate answer. I know.
Wait.
Wow. It really does. And
People
it's
having the same first name? Like the same letters?
mine is even worse.
Like alliteration?
It's even worse than alliteration.
Alliteration's the best.
It's actually the same first name and last name.
Well, he picked
Bull?
He picked Jack from The Incredibles.
It's exactly like Bull. That is all I will say.
Our great debate comes your way in 20 minutes, top of the hour. I don't want to sound disrespectful because people can name their kid whatever. It's hard to name a kid. You're naming something, it's stressful to name your children. We've all been through this.
Megatron.
Thought about it. Went with Lucas.
It remains stunning that Manny is single.
It's like, I'll get married and have kids, but under one stipulation. Like, what? We need to name him Megatron. But I think it's kind of tough when you name all the kids off with one letter. What do you think, bro? Am I being outrageous here?
You're being wildly outrageous. No, I think it's Strange Lady has a take on local news right now.
Oh, I'm waving my hand at fistic
Yeah,
clap?
it feels like a Simpsons take. Local man. Yeah, like, does this really bother you?
It doesn't bother me. It just, I guess it doesn't bother me. Everyone do you. I don't get it. I don't get the urge.
I think I'm with you on this one. I particularly am bothered by Cash making it start with a K when it doesn't normally.
Right.
And I just don't, where's
shoehorning it.
Where's Kevin? Like, why we go Kid Knipple? Like, that's, again, he's like
Cool
a Wild
name,
West
though.
star. Yeah, I guess, maybe.
Stands out.
Can I offer you the family in my neighborhood growing up? And this was the story that the dad was so enamored with the mom, whose name was Tanya. They had 3 daughters, Tanya, Tanya, and Tanyel, to make them all be like
George Foreman stuff,
kind of.
Yeah. And that was a tribute to the mom?
Yeah.
What'd the mom think about it?
I am assuming she was okay with it
Flattered.
since they kept doing it.
Yeah.
The kids can't love that.
Tanya and Tanya are just so, they're probably spelled similarly.
It's just switching one letter.
When you do stuff like this, you cause damage to kids potentially.
Agreed.
You think
like
so?
I'm very good friends with someone who was named the same name as his brother, and as soon as he turned 18, he changed his name.
Get out of here.
Yep.
They named the siblings the same name?
Yes.
So just like Tanya.
Yeah, I think maybe different middle names, but same first and last.
And they're
name.
not twins.
They're
Obviously,
not
that
twins.
would be
no, they're not
also very
twins.
bad.
I mean, crazy enough though, they're only like a year apart.
Can I ask what the name is?
Martin.
Both kids named Martin?
Both kids named Martin.
Was it named after a family member?
Yeah, their dad.
My dad named my brother and my half-brother after himself. So I have 2 brothers named Carlos and a father named Carlos.
And that is amazing.
All with a C, any with a K, like Carlos who works here?
Nope, C.
Here we go.
We got C's.
This is great.
Yes, I have a half-brother who lives in El Salvador. His name is Carlos. And then like 40 years later, my full brother was born. And my dad, named Carlos, decided to name him Carlos.
I'm doing
Can't be Junior, though.
We call my full brother Carlos Jr. once in a while, but I mean, it's Latin America. We ran out of names.
These are also Latin
Couldn't afford
Americans on my side. My friends, Puerto Ricans.
The Martins?
Yep.
And I know sisters who are both named Maria, but because they go by their middle name, and that was always the plan. Like they're not Maria and Maria.
Got it.
That was a way, like that's a familial cultural thing.
Right.
It was
They were not
crazy
meant to
'cause-
be Maria.
And they were in high school too. And like I met my best friend. His name was Martin, and then his brother came in the next year. And like his name is Martin. And I'm like, what is going on? I thought it was a joke. I was like, no, you're like, what's your name? And like his name is Martin.
What did he change it to?
He changed it to his middle name, so now he's Billy. We use William, so Billy.
855-212-4227. There we go. People's choices. All right. Lots more to do, including, I mentioned this before. Didn't love what I heard from the Packers yesterday. Bad enough you lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, losing bodies left and right in that game, but I didn't love the messaging from Matt LaFleur. Tell you why next. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
And Bad Bunny is everywhere. New album's out.
I saw him playing the subway on the Today Show.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon. 855-212-4227. We got a sidetracked. I want to talk about the Packers. We got a little sidetracked, though, with Con Knipple, who plays basketball for Duke. And it's K-O-N is how you spell his name. And his siblings are Cager, Kingston, Cash, and Kid. All Ks. Dean in Maryland's calling in because he's a teacher and sees interesting names like that. Hey, Dean, how are you?
Hey, Maggie, I'm doing great. Yeah, for 31 years, me and the guy that I work with, we teach phys ed. We cannot stand the first week. Obviously, the kids come into a gym. They don't have seats and desks, so we put them in squads. And over the years, as time has went on, the names are just ridiculous. I think that these people are you know, around the kitchen table or in the hospital room trying to come up with names that are just crazy off the wall. And I feel bad for the kids, especially the kindergartner and first graders, that they don't even know their name and can't even spell their name. The craziest name that I've seen was a girl named T-Nancy, and they spelled her name with a T, the number 9, and then a C. So her name was T-Nancy.
You're allowed to do that with a number and a name?
Well, that was her name.
Yeah, like legally?
But, yeah, some
Like
other
Prince?
ones.
Is a symbol?
I mean, so that's the wildest one I've ever seen. But we also had a family that's been in our community for a long time that, you know, you said enamored with Tanya. Well, this family, I just this year, she's a third grader, have 7. And they have 7 kids, so they named them 1, 2, 3, and so forth and so on.
No.
So we've had, yes, we've had that family 1 through 7. We have 7, who's a third grader this year. And then another wild name was a kid. His last name was Enzo, E-N-Z-O. Guess what his first name was?
Enzo.
Get in, and his middle name was Get in, Enzo. I can't make this up.
No.
I cannot make this up. Yes. His name was Get In, and his middle name was and it was Enzo. And again, I can't make this stuff up. And then you know, the kids the kids are sitting there, and there's 3 kids left, and we've already said their name, but they don't know their name because the name is so whacked that we're pronouncing it wrong. And then we call them up and say, "Is this you? You know, this is day 1 or day 2. Well, yeah, but you said it wrong. It's this." And I'm like, well, okay, well, tell your parents to spell it the right way.
That's not going to go wrong. Dean, that's wild. Thank you for sharing that. I can't imagine someone named their kids after the number in which they were born. So you got a kid walking around named 3?
That reminds me, I was just talking to Perloff about this. The Thompson twins, Asar and Amen.
Yeah.
Their middle name is Excellence, but it's spelled X-L-N-C, just like all in capital letters. X-L-N-C, Excellence. Amen and Asar, Excellence Thompson.
That's a little bit like the St. Browns, right? Equanimous, Amon-Ra, and the other one, they're all named after Greek gods.
Yeah.
That's pretty
But
sick.
this is 1 through 7. Like, there was a very famous Seinfeld episode. They want to name
7.
their kids 7 after Mickey Mantle. But, like, 4? 5? What? These are names. someone TNT, someone was named T the number 9C. And then get in the end zone. But why, though?
We got to call CPS on some of these people.
The first name was Get In?
The only winners here are the therapists that will be raking in the dough.
The real heroes. My parents named me Two.
Yep.
Two
God,
Smith.
Two's the one, that's the worst, right? How many jokes you're going to have with people say, hey, number 2. Did you go number 2? Looking like number 2 out there on the field.
CPS again.
The damage. Oh, my goodness.
Kara looks like number 2 today.
Stop reproducing, people.
Great debate comes your way next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
This Cowboys Deion Sanders thing not going away. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Both sides not saying no, saying they're intrigued, thinking about it. You've got, with two people as famous as Deion Sanders and Jerry Jones, you're going to also have a lot of people speaking on their behalf. So you're hearing guys like Michael Irvin come out and say this is a match. Stephen A. Smith, others around sort of Deion also pumping this up, saying that he's definitely interested and there's mutual interest.
Yeah, it's such a weird situation, too, because I don't totally understand what the Cowboys' real desire for Deion. Do they want Deion? We know the Bears want Ben Johnson. That's very clear. We can kind of tell the Saints want Aaron Glenn. But, we don't. Do the Cowboys really want them? Are they interested? Is this more Cowboys mind games? Are they just trying to get attention? Is this? It's really hard to tell if it's real on their end, to me.
Yeah, and I don't think that Deion would need this, but, does it help him get some kind of bigger contract at Colorado? Are they using him against? I don't think he would do that, and I don't think he needs that. There's no way Colorado's moving on. Deion will say when Deion's done with Colorado, I don't think he needs this for leverage or anything. I think there's maybe some real interest because, maybe doesn't feel as fun. And Deion's not saying this, I'm projecting it. Maybe it's not as fun being Colorado if Shador's not there.
Yeah,
or Travis.
No, definitely.
Okay, maybe now, all right, it's been awesome in Colorado. You turned around a program in 2 seasons. They had 1 win, then 4 wins, then 9 wins. You go to a bowl game. You put them back on the map. And maybe now the new challenge of coaching the Dallas Cowboys, which probably would not be with Shador unless some crazy, crazy hijinks goes on, then maybe this is a cool new challenge. And they've got a close relationship. Maybe Deion is the one who can actually get through to Jerry Jones. Maybe Jerry respects him so much for the career he had with the Cowboys and other places that he could actually, cut through the noise and really have a say in front office things too.
Yeah, but I think he has probably a better chance of winning at the highest level at Colorado, believe it or not, because he's got like big time players. The NIL has changed college football, obviously. Sure. I think right now it seems like he's competitive with Alabama, Georgia, anybody. I think if he wants a guy, now he's in play. So I think he has a great chance. If he stays there for 5 years, then he could maybe compete at the highest level. Listen, nobody did better in quarterbacks this offseason. Nobody did better than getting Jordan Seaton last offseason. He's on a bit of a roll. So I think that's I think he could look at Dallas and be like, ooh, I don't know if I can win with this team. Maybe he's like, oh, well, I set the standard in the 90s. I know what a winning Cowboys team looks like. I could bring this. But if he is actually realistic about the roster, it's old, it's injured, and it's expensive. I think he honestly will have better roster luck comparatively at Buffalo. I mean, with the Buffaloes.
Yeah, 855-212-4227.
Or at Buffalo if Sean McDermott loses this weekend.
I don't know. I'd say Deion to fit with the Bills.
But think about it. He could really build a powerhouse in Colorado if he did this in 2 years. I know Travis Hunter and his son are leaving, but he's got the number 1 quarterback recruit, and he can always get wide receivers. And I think he can get cornerbacks. The fact that he turned that offensive line around for what we saw his first year is a miracle.
You're right. It's not as crazy as I think people have made it out to be. And I was just surprised. I thought that the overwhelming response from Cowboy fans yesterday was, oh boy, roll their eyes. Circus coming to town. This is not real. This is just to get headlines. This is just for a sideshow. This is not a serious conversation. And I don't think they want it to be serious. I think it is kind of serious. And you got to leave Shedeur out of it. But to be fair to Stephen A. Smith, he made a good point yesterday when he said, listen, Deion's about to coach the Buffaloes without Shedeur. Obviously, life moves on. People move on. And Deion himself said he wants to coach in the NFL, wants to coach his son. But I don't see how the Cowboys would be able to pull that off unless they really get aggressive trying to trade up. They're at 12 right now. You'd have to get up to 1 or 2.
And you're paying Dak Prescott.
And also, I don't know if the Titans and the Cleveland Browns are putting these picks up for sale.
No, that's not happening. Also, the Cowboys are the most conservative coaching hire team in the league. Like, they're going to take this big of a risk? No way.
Okay, so this is interesting. Yesterday, we heard from our pal Matt Mosley, who believes that John Gruden is in play for the Cowboys. And part of it is because, Gruden wasn't really that great with the Raiders at the end, but sort of a getting John Gruden back into the NFL and also like a thumb your nose at Roger Goodell, who was one of the targets of John Gruden's homophobic and racial emails that got leaked. And maybe Goodell wants to keep him out. But the fact that Jerry might like that and might hire John feels like a big decision to make based on revenge.
Yeah, but I mean, Gruden fits the Mike McCarthy pattern very well. One-time Super Bowl winner, offensive genius. He's basically, I assume, was McCarthy on that famous Packers staff with Gruden?
I think they were. No,
I don't know if McCarthy was there.
I think McCarthy was in San Francisco during that. But
I'm not sure. But anyway, it feels like they were on this. They're basically kind of carbon copies of each other, except for Gruden's extracurricular stuff.
Sure.
And then Pete Carroll's also a one-time Super Bowl winner with experience. So feels like either he's going to go with a former assistant. To me, like, he always does the same thing. He's going to hire Jason Garrett 2.0, and who's that? Kellen Moore. Or he's going to hire Mike McCarthy 2.0, and who's that? Pete Carroll. So I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I don't even think he's going to offer Deion.
Okay, so when this all came down, I was puzzled a bit. I thought McCarthy was going to come back as the head coach. And I thought, man, this is Jerry. He's always playing everything out to the very last day of the contract, and now they're behind the 8 ball and trying to get these interviews. I was listening yesterday to Mark Dominic, who's the former GM of the Tampa Bay Bucks, and he had a different spin on this, and this is someone who's been in the league. He said the Joneses know exactly what they're doing.
You know, it sounds good. It sounds interesting, I guess is the best way to say it, like prime time in Dallas and what would like. But I don't see Jerry Jones going that route. And I don't see the Jones family already not knowing what they're going to do. I can't imagine you would do this and not already have a plan in place of what you're going to do. You're not just going to be like, okay, let's start the coaching search because we're letting Mike go. That is not a Dallas Cowboy mindset. And I have a hard time believing that. I think Jerry and Steven have a plan. And I think that you'll see it come in play pretty quickly.
Okay, so that's a little different, I think, than the public narrative, which is they're behind the 8 ball, right? And maybe did it take them this long to know they're moving on from McCarthy? Here's Mark Dominic, who is a GM in the NFC, and said, listen, they know exactly what they're doing. They already have the guy picked out. And he goes on to say he's connecting dots here of who the Joneses are targeting.
I think the dots are there. I don't know if it's if I'm seeing a maze or if I'm seeing a problem, but it just seems like it's convenient that Ben Johnson's shut down now. When you think about the Dallas Cowboys today, just walk away from their head coach, and they've got to have a plan in place.
Okay, so he's saying that he thinks Ben Johnson is the target, and he didn't. It kind of implied that maybe there's already been some kind of back channel conversation between Ben Johnson and the Dallas Cowboys, and sort of Johnson knows that the Cowboys are interested. The Cowboys have told or gotten the message to him that he's their number one target. And now he has to go dark because they're off of their bye week. Mm-hmm. You're in a game week and you cannot interview while the Lions are still active.
So what are the dots? I didn't hear a dot. What's his dot?
He thinks that the Cowboys are focused in on Ben Johnson and that they were able to wait on McCarthy because they're letting the first round of interviews play out because they have some kind of intel.
Wait, but I don't understand. Like, Could that be Aaron Glenn? Couldn't that be Kellen Moore? Couldn't that be about 10 other guys? But I don't understand. Like when I hear Dots, like what's the connection to Ben Johnson? Just because Ben Johnson had to shut it down, that means that the Cowboys were targeting him. Like
he basically
said,
said
another connection between. My question is there more of a connection between Jerry and Ben Johnson?
no, not on the outside, but
that
that
obviously
the timing of this that it actually. That the Cowboys were being more strategic about the timing, and that Ben Johnson is the pick because offensive coaches, like you always say, offensive coaches really are the thing. Like it's going to be, unless you're just a culture setter like a Mike Vrabel, it's harder for a defensive coach to get hired right now. He thought the Cowboys would go offense over defense.
Yeah, I would hope so. Well, I mean, obviously it's obvious Ben Johnson would be the number one choice for the Cowboys. But
see, I didn't think that was that obvious because...
Well, I mean, everyone's number one. Isn't he the number one choice except for now Vrabel's gone? It's probably every vacancy's number one choice.
I don't know because I don't know if Jerry wants an unproven guy. We talked to Matt Mosley yesterday. Yeah. He said he doesn't want a guy who's never been a head coach before. So...
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. But, like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like... It feels when Jerry probably does know who he wants. And it feels like it's going to be Dave Campo 2.0. That's why... He knows who he wants, and it's not a hot guy. That's why I feel like that's how he operates. He's not going to pay. I mean, Ben Johnson going to get $20 million a year?
That's crazy. 855-212-4227.
Why is that crazy? I feel like
the guy's never been a head coach.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, it's like knowing you could get Sean McVay the year before he becomes a coach. Like, his offense is amazing.
Okay, well, let's see if it's Sean McVay. Let's see. Because we've anointed him Sean McVay. I don't know that he can be Sean McVay. A lot goes into... being a successful head coach beyond just play calling.
Yeah, I feel like he's like Kyle Shanahan. Like it feels like does not feel like a huge risk to me. Like he's clearly going to take this offense. He's probably going to bring a bunch of Lions players. Like I think it's
how like a lot of them are under contract. He's not bringing Penei Sewell.
Yeah, but there's another. I know they have another lineman who's a free agent. Like he'll bring like Rex Ryan when he came to the Jets. I always remember that. Brought all the fringe guys. Like he'll bring in guys who run his system. He'll go to a team with $200 million of cap space, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel. I think every team will want him. I don't know. For some reason, like that marriage feels weird to me. Maybe it will happen. I just didn't really hear any dots because of the timing. Like Aaron Glenn and Kellen Moore are also right there in the odds. Also in the same situation, right?
855-212-4227. Okay, so that's what's going on with the Cowboys. Coaching searches front and center. And they've inspired today's great debate.
The Great Debate Series.
All right, we're going a little off script today. Perloff, I believe you said this was the dumbest idea you've ever heard. You can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, it's not a great debate. It's a stupid debate, which is probably a good thing. Do you want to reveal what it is, Meg?
Today's great debate, who was the most forgettable NFL coaching hire? Most memorable? I mean, anyone can do that. Who was the most forgettable NFL coach of all time?
But the format's weird because if he's forgettable, then we all forgot him. So are we going to even know the names of the people that we choose here?
Listen, how can we outdo each other here on most forgettable?
Which is why what I was trying to explain last hour is my pick is forgettable to me, but the team that he coached, I'm sure those fans can't forget him.
Well, it's up for debate, as is everything around here. Okay, most forgettable head coach of all time. I'll go first.
Please.
I guarantee you don't remember this guy. And even if you are the most diehard Cleveland Browns fan, I don't think you remember this guy. He's a coach named Rob Chudzinski. He presided over a 4-12 Cleveland Browns team that in 2013 was just an absolute dumpster fire of a team. And by the way, the reason why you might not remember him is because he's nestled in between the tenures of Pat Shurmur and Mike Pettin. Two other very forgettable Cleveland Browns head coaches. There was nothing that was interesting about this team except for Josh Gordon had over 1,600 yards receiving, and that was it. The quarterbacks, Jason Campbell, Brandon Weeden, and Brian Hoyer all started games for the Browns. This is the most forgettable Browns team amongst many forgettable Browns teams. Rob Chudzinski is the most forgettable head coach of all time.
Everybody want to know how long would it take. When we said it might take a week, it might take a month. It took 11 days. And I can tell you, and I'm not going to get into any specifics, but we talked to 9 or 10 of, I believe, the best coaches in the country. And I believe we came back with the best person to lead the Cleveland Browns with the kind of winning format that we want to have here in Cleveland that we all expect to have.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Haslam, the owner. This was the first year, I believe, he took over, and they went 4-12. Red flag. Rob Chudzinski is the most forgettable NFL head coach of all time. Perloff, you want to go next or you want to go last?
I'll go next. Okay. I was looking at Chris Palmer, who was the first Browns coach when they moved back to Cleveland. Do you remember? Anyone remember that guy?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't even remember him enough to do that.
Arnold.
Jim. Okay. I'm going, we had a funny bit earlier about people who have the same last name and first name. I'm going with Cam Cameron, also known as Malcolm Cameron, is his God-given name. Now, you may not remember him from his head coaching days. He has some other famous things about him. But in 2007, he coached the Dolphins to a forgettable 1-15 season.
We want them to fail forward fast. I want guys going out in this game not being afraid to fail. But if you fail forward. What does that mean? Well, if you're failing forward, that means you're failing, but you're learning, and then you got to learn fast. Early in the first quarter, I want some guys to go out there and fail in the first half. We've got to be failing at a fast rate.
Yeah. He achieved his goal. But do you guys remember? I think, the year the Ravens won with Flacco, he was their offensive coordinator all season, and they fired him in like week 13. And took off and won the Super Bowl right after that. So he, not only that, and one other fact about Malcolm Cameron, he played college basketball and football at Indiana for Bobby Knight and Lee Corso, which is an incredible fact. But
none of that sunk in, I guess.
I didn't. It's a name you know because it's Cam Cameron. It's like, why would your kid's name, parents name you Cam if your last name's Cameron? That's bad, right? That's like gray. So anyway, Cam Cameron's my vote.
We're doing the most forgettable NFL coaches of all time. That's our great debate. All right, EJ, go ahead.
All right, so I went with a guy who I think people will always remember as a coach, but many people forget that he coached this particular team. I'm going with Lou Holtz as an NFL coach with the New York Jets. And here's Greg Bartle with a show Perloff's been on, NFL's Top 10, talking about the Lou Holtz stint with the Jets.
For a coach to come in and bring the rah-rah mentality.
Oh, yeah, well handled.
It's a great shock and disappointment when he sees blank faces staring at him. Players in the NFL know what they're supposed to do.
Those guys had seen it all. They've been to the Super Bowl. They played for Weeb Eubank. Kind of tough to teach those old dog new tricks. In reality, he came in with some tricks.
Holtz tried to motivate using magic.
If you get it just the right way, you can actually rub it into your arm so that it'll disappear.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He did the old quarter in the ear?
Yeah, Lou Holtz. I mean, so this is Lou Holtz, a guy who had told the Jets in his interview, he told this to Steve Sabol years later, that he had never watched an NFL game before taking the Jets head coaching job. And then he came in after not watching an NFL game and thinking that he could run a version of an option offense, a veer offense with Joe Namath, who had 2 busted knees and a torn hamstring. Jets averaged just 12 points a game that year. They had a 15-point differential, minus differential, which is the worst in franchise history. Yes, including recent years, still the worst in franchise history. That one season, he won just 3 games in his 1 year, retired 1 game before the season ended because he basically told people, I am not fit for this job. He was just an NC State coach, went to coach the Jets, went on to do much greater things at Arkansas and Notre Dame after that. But Lou Holtz, most forgettable NFL head coach.
All right, Manny, you're up.
All right. I've had a lot of forgettable head coaches run my favorite football team over the last decade, and I could have picked Pat Shurmur, Ben McAdoo was available, even Steve Spagnuolo had a interim stint as the Giants head coach. But you know what? Nobody should remember what Joe Judge did.
We're going to practice hard on Wednesday, we're going to practice hard on Thursday, we're going to practice hard on Friday. Okay? And we're going to play for each other on the field next week. If we don't play well, every fan has a right to boo my stadium. You got that? That don't bother me. I don't want it. I don't think anyone wants to get booed, okay? But the reality is, that's all right, okay? It's all right. They have that right. So the fans are, Dan, go back to the first part, the fans are every bit right to ask what you're asking. 100%, okay? 100%. and I get about a dozen emails a day. All right? 6 of which asking exactly what you're asking, the other 6 offering full support the other way.
Yeah, who would have thought that a special teams coach wouldn't work out for the Giants? Since he left the Giants, offensive assistant and quarterbacks coach with the Patriots, assistant head coach with the Patriots, and apparently now he's a senior analyst for Ole Miss. 10-23 record. I would love to forget you, Joe Judge.
He definitely got booed. That's for sure. Our great debate today is the greatest, most forgettable NFL coach of all time. Bogusch, go ahead, sir.
Well, Maggie, I see your coach Chud, and I raise you Freddie Kitchens.
Since 1999, there's been ups and downs with this organization. And just like during the season, sometimes there's more ups and sometimes there's more down. And since 1999, I understand and I relish the fact that there's been more downs than up, but that ends today. I promise you that.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't end that day. 2019 was one season on the job for Freddie Kitchens. He was the Browns' running backs coach. He won 6 games that year, which actually seems pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good for this list.
He had Baker Mayfield, he had OBJ, he had Nick Chubb, but Freddie Kitchens, a 1-year appearance as an NFL head coach. He runs offenses since then, and will always have a special tiny place in my heart because he was once a Giants assistant as well.
Do you know where he is right now?
I think he was technically at North Carolina, but I don't know if he still has a job there.
Oh, he's the only guy Belichick kept.
Oh, good for him.
He's the offensive coordinator for Bill Belichick's North Carolina Tar Heels. All right, there you go. Great debate today. Perloff called it stupid. The most forgettable NFL head coach of all time. Forgettable. All right. Lots more to do, including we will get to the Packers. I did not like what I heard yesterday from Matt LaFleur, a memorable head coach. But I didn't like what I heard. 855-212-4227.
Oh, Maggie, how'd you do last night? Because that's the first thing we talk about. I didn't hear today. Prize Picks, daily fantasy, the best way to watch sports. Even if you don't have an NFL game, there's so much to bet on. I was all over the NBA last night. 10 million members, billions of dollars in award winnings. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy sports accessible to all. So simple to use. You pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projection. You could win up to 1,000 times your money.
I was still reveling in my win when I took Sam Darnold less than passing yards, and I won that by a mile. And it was glorious. It was so awesome. You know, Prize Picks has even gotten me into sports that I don't follow on a daily basis, like soccer. Love pairing that with a sport I do follow on a daily basis, like the NBA, and obviously with the playoffs in full effect, Prize Picks is where you need to be. What do? You download the Prize Picks app now. They accept all major credit cards. They're available in more than 40 states, including California and Texas. And you just pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on the projection, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code MNP. Get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code MNP on Prize Picks to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P. You're in a
babies. Why can't babies just be babies?
Sitting in my room, scrolling through the tube, watching Maggie and Perloff, getting in the groove. Found a viewer in the chat, his name's Delta 9 Brian. Spitting fire comments, he's the #1 fan. Got his fingers moving, stepping non-stop, dropping all the knowledge, never gonna flop. Talking about Brian, he's the king of the chat. With his love for the show, there ain't no doubt. Living life in 20-second views, Scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daily's keeping score. YouTube's his love. Every single day, a Maggie and Perloff show. There's someone in the chat who steals the show. He sings along. Maggie woke up, felt a change in the air. Reached for his razor, didn't have a care. He shaved it off, that iconic mustache. Now he's just a face, lost in the mask.
Something quite unique, a love that's quite arcade. Peter singing sonnets to Tom Glevine's brain. Oh, Glevine's brain, it's on the train, running through the strategies and games. Peter loves it for each.
Hey, it's Andrew Perloff. I'm genuinely impressed with NBC's Al Michaels AI, a revolutionary addition to Olympics broadcasting. This AI doesn't just mimic Michael's iconic voice. It encapsulates his deep understanding of the games and storytelling prowess.
I'm Peter Schwartz, and I've got to say, the Al Michaels NBC AI is a marvel in sports broadcasting. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hav, O-H to the O-V. I used to move snowflakes by the O-Z. I guess even back then you can call me CEO of the ROC. Hovey, fresh out the frying pan into the fire.
1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Great debate today. Most forgettable coaching hire. It's just football. I'm sure every sport has its forgettable
Just
coaching
NFL.
hire. The fact that most casual fans can't name most of the MLB managers because the GMs run the show. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But NFL, we're in the coaching carousel, and everyone's excited about their hire, but we'll forget most of these guys in 12 years. I'm sorry, Jaguars, Raiders fans. I do not think you're going to get the guy that is going to be memorable. You went with?
Rob Chudzinski.
Who?
Yeah, coached the Browns, but who hasn't? 1 year, 4-13. Yeah, not good.
I went with Cam Cameron, former Miami Dolphins coach. Bogusch.
I picked Freddie Kitchens, and I've already been chirped by people in Cleveland saying that Freddie is unforgettable. Which was my point. Like, I forget Freddie Kitchens as the Browns head coach, and I think most people might as well, but not in Cleveland.
Well, we remember Hard Knocks when he almost went through fists with Todd Haley in the meeting room. That was that's one of the great all-time Hard Knocks things.
And, I'll never forget Joe Judge as the Giants head coach.
Joe Judge going for it.
It was back-to-back quarterback sneaks.
Giving up.
2nd and 11 and 3rd and 9 because they didn't want to take a safety.
Bogusch and I will remember that in a decade, but John in Birmingham, Alabama certainly will not.
No, he shouldn't. EJ went with Lou Holtz, but as the Jets head coach.
Well, that could be also, it's a good one, but you could do this guy coach there, question mark?
Yeah.
That could be another great debate.
Pete Carroll as the Jets coach.
It's the ultimate fish out of water
Yeah.
situation in sports, maybe.
It is. It's
Lou
up
Holtz
there.
in New York.
It
Coaching
is
the
true.
Jets. It's crazy.
It doesn't make sense. And Perloff, you went with Cam Cameron, who most people just remember as a longtime assistant, if you remember him at all.
Yeah. And again, also had a claim to fame that he got fired by the Ravens right before the Super Bowl. Do you remember how bad he was? Like, they were driving everybody crazy. But he did have success elsewhere. And all these guys, like Rob Jasinski, he was Cam Newton's guy, right? That's what his claim to fame was. He rode Cam Newton's coattails to a head coaching job.
Yeah, I mean, and he was at the University of Miami. I mean, sure, somebody's, of course,
All
we're
these
kind of
guys
having
are-
some fun with these guys, but these are forgettable tenures. I said 4-13. Haha, Maggie, this was 2013. They didn't have 17 games then. It was 4-12.
Well, you know what's funny?
Seasons are terrible.
The lesson is all these guys were great offensive coordinators, and everyone's getting excited about offensive coordinators, but you don't think, our big difference is you don't think Ben Johnson's a guaranteed home run. You think Ben Johnson could be the next Cam Cameron or Rob Jasinski?
Or Pat Shermer.
Or Pat Shermer, or maybe not Joe Johnson because he wasn't even a good offensive
Or
coordinator.
Freddie Kitchens. I don't know. These guys could be great. They could be the next Belichick. Who knows? Or the next Andy Reid.
I got a special teams coach for you guys. Yeah, Joe Judge.
Oh,
Yeah.
you said
No thanks.
but you had the dumbest line. You're like is that a reference to Belichick, who was famously a giant special teams coach, or because that can work?
That happened before 2000. That's not in. I didn't even think of that.
You're like, the Giants are hiring a special teams coach. I'm like, yeah, the best coach of all time was a giant special team coach.
Well,
you know your history, Manny.
The problem is that Belichick definitely recommended Joe Judge.
Yes, because he thought he was him. He's like, this guy is me.
Yeah, well, he needs to get his eyesight checked. Sean is in Oregon. Sean, what's the most forgettable NFL coach of all time?
Well, a lot of these guys are so forgettable. I had to think of this recent one as Coach Nate Hackett.
Dude.
That guy came in and everyone thought he was going to do so well, and that's what makes me remember this is because everyone thought he was going to do so well with Russell Wilson. And I went on national radio, and I was called an idiot. And I was told that Nate Hackett wouldn't be judged on his first year of coaching by JR Sports Brief.
Oh, we
I
love
thought we
JR.
called you an idiot. Thank God.
JR's the man, Sean, but I'm going to disagree. Nate Hackett presided over, I guess, like Joe Judge, maybe one of the most dumbest yet memorable decisions. Sean, thanks for the call. Asking your kicker to make a 64-yard field goal in Seattle. It was so stupid.
Monday Night Football.
His
Whole world
debut.
watching. First game.
Russell Wilson back in Seattle, like as much possible, storylines everywhere. Nate Hackett, he was Aaron Rodgers' guy. And then after the game, like, what about that 64-yarder? He's like, yeah, definitely should have gone for it. Like, what? You second-guessed yourself. It's been 5 minutes.
There's nothing more funny to me than NFL head coach over their skis trying to explain things. Like
Vance Joseph having the time of his life.
Yeah, those guys are just, because you can just see the incompetence in their face when they're on the sideline. Like Joe Judge watching them QB sneak on second and third down, or watching Nate Hackett play through this whole situation. You could see that these guys in the moment are like, yeah, I might be in over my head on this.
Like the gears are like turning, not fast enough.
I didn't mention this in my Freddie Kitchens essay, but I was telling Maggie this in the break, on a 4th and 9, he called a draw, which hadn't been called in that situation in 13 years in the NFL. It didn't work.
They'll never see it coming.
What the hell did you just say to me?
Did he call plays at Cleveland when he took over the head coaching job?
I mean, I don't remember his
I remember he's a guy
specific duties.
He went from like running back coach to head coach in a flash.
Yeah,
in
because
a year.
everyone had to get fired because they were all fighting with each other.
Yeah, because it was Hugh got fired the year before, and then Greg Williams, I think, did too good of a job filling in, and then he couldn't keep that, and they kept Kitchens instead.
And
I also
Haley,
thought they
too.
liked Baker. I think Baker Mayfield liked him too.
By the
right?
way, yeah, Freddie was the play caller.
Oh, he was, yeah, because like I thought it was funny. Like he was, again, not even a play caller before he got hired. Yeah, it's not good.
He's the only, I'll give him this. I believe he's the only Cleveland Browns head coach who wore a dog pound hoodie on the sideline when he's coaching a game.
He's very much like in the Nick Sirianni book, Maggie, where he definitely could also be one of the fans. Like, he looks like a guy who could be in the dog pound.
It's like we just picked out Freddie. Get down here.
You want to call some plays, Freddie?
I was telling guys, look at it. If you want to have a good time, Google his highlights in college. I mean, he looks exactly the same. He's like 5'8", and he's just slinging it all over the field. It's great. I don't think and he was one of this team was great at Alabama. I think he like competed for a title.
Yeah.
But or actually, they might have he was definitely like on some good teams.
Not the Browns.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof.
He won 10 games as a quarterback.
Yeah. That was like Gene Stallings, right? I think like they had just come off one
Gene
year
Stallings.
where they were close to a title. Anyway.
The most forgettable NFL head coaches of all time. That is the great debate for today. Bogusch has headlines for us. You're welcome to call, by the way, 855-212-4227. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. In the chat, you can also leave your responses.
Guys, Pittsburgh Penguins great. Evgeny Malkin is the latest victim of a home robbery. This one happened late Saturday afternoon in a Pittsburgh suburb while the team was hosting Ottawa. Malkin's 3 Stanley Cup rings are among the missing items. Now, one odd note from this story, apparently Malkin's home security system was down that day and his safe wasn't closed, so the job was a little bit easier for these robbers.
Oh, man. Does the alarm company know if your alarm's not on?
Yeah, that I don't know.
Inside job type of thing?
Yeah, or like, can you, if you're like kind of like casing a joint, can you figure out things like that?
I don't know.
Things aren't going well for Malkin either on the ice.
Shane Wright peels it off the board. Centering feed. Scores! Ellie Golvanen right out in front. What a pass from Wright, and Tomlin finishing the play. 3-2 Seattle, 11:06 to play in the third.
The Seattle Kraken scoring 3 times in the final 11-plus minutes last night in Pittsburgh to steal a 4-2 win. The Penguins have lost 3 straight and 7 of 8. The Jets are the first team to 30 wins, courtesy of a 6-1 rout of Vancouver. And the Sharks snapped the Red Wings' 7-game win streak 6-3 in Detroit.
Our Sharks.
The Mike McCarthy tour begins today with an interview with the Bears. The Saints on the schedule for next week, and we still don't know if the Jets will want to meet with McCarthy. Former Jets head coach Robert Saleh interviewed for the Jags gig yesterday. Michigan D coordinator Wink Martindale discussed that position with the Falcons. He's meeting with the Colts today.
Who?
Those Colts will be the host team for the NFL's first ever game in Berlin next fall. That announcement coming last hour. The Pacers and Cavaliers finished a home-and-home last night. Indy won the opener, snapping Cleveland's 12-game winning streak. The Cavs return the favor.
Allen, run of the lane for the Cavs. In the lane to LeVert, out front to Mitchell. Bounce right wing to Garland. 3-ball on the way. Got it! DJ buries a 3.
That's Tim Alcorn on Cavs Radio. Garland with 24, 35 from Donovan Mitchell in a 127-117 win, ending the Pacers' 6-game run. The Kings' 7-game win streak ended in Milwaukee, 130-115. Giannis had 30, 11 boards, and 13 assists, and Zion scored 21 in the Pelicans' 119-113 win in Chicago. Men's number 1 Auburn took care of number 15 Mississippi State, 88-66, but 4th-ranked Alabama lost to number 21 Ole Miss, 74-64, and number 5 Florida fell at home to unranked Mizzou, 83-82. Number 19 Illinois put a 94-69 beating on Indiana in Bloomington. The Hoosiers down 28 at halftime, so some fans not happy.
Fire Woodson! Fire Woodson! Fire Woodson! Fire Woodson!
Is that forgettable Knicks head coach Mike Woodson?
I say, is that vintage footage from the Garden from 10 years ago? Or
no, that's live in Indiana last night.
Oh, don't beat up my guy Woody.
I thought people in Indiana were nice. Midwestern fans firing the coach.
The Bob Knight's Indiana? Come on, Pearl.
Yeah, no, I guess Indiana basketball is an exception.
I mean, now that the football team is good, I guess they've just moved on.
Once again, another, they're supposed to be good. Yeah, all of a sudden.
Things are upside down. You're right.
Yeah, it's
Nothing
insane.
makes sense.
It's insane.
It's a football school.
Yeah, Indiana's in the Final 12 and they for college football, and it doesn't make sense. And what's the other? There was another team in the ACC. getting a bunch of teams in the 12. There's another really good basketball school.
What, Clemson and SMU getting into the college football playoff?
No, there's another basketball school that made the 12 team. Oh, no, Duke got the number one transfer portal quarterback. It's paying him $8 million.
Bill Belichick is coaching the Tar Heels.
Bill Belichick is coaching, exactly. Like what? That's the one. Yeah, it's insane. Like the ACC is going to become a football conference and the SEC is going to become a basketball conference. Nobody's bothered by this except Andrew Perloff.
Yes.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's just like that's how it goes.
It's never gone like that. You never had Auburn being awesome at basketball year in, year out and not good at football.
Think about the old days, Pearl. Is they the old days?
There's Kentucky, and then you just sort of gut your way through the rest of that conference. No. Now, but bigger, like the fact that SEC, can we just say they're not good at football anymore? Are we ready to jump there?
I'm not saying that. You're saying that. I'm going to offend half the country.
Yeah, Knoxville, Tuscaloosa, Auburn, all those folks listening, that is Andrew Perloff.
Yeah.
We love you guys in those affiliates.
I think your football team's just fine.
You guys are all winning national championships in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You don't think a team from the SEC is going to win a national championship in college football in the next 2 years?
This year was a hot mess for the SEC, like a disaster upon a disaster. And structurally, they're screwed because they don't have a bottom like the Big Ten. Yeah, I think the SEC has a major problem with NIL. I think Alabama and Georgia are definitely going to fall off.
You were standing on the table banging your fist for Alabama to get into the 12-team playoff.
I know,
they
but
were just fine.
I think the future is not great. I mean,
I'll show bet you that.
You don't think that it's a different
SEC
calculus around the world now?
I do, but I think an SEC team will win the college football playoff in the next 2 years. I don't think the bottom's fallen out.
Who do you got?
Georgia's still a good team.
I'll take that bet. That sounds like a good bet because Georgia doesn't have a quarterback and Alabama has Kellen DeBoer and doesn't have a quarterback. I like this.
What about Texas?
That's the team.
Can Sark win the big one?
I have trouble seeing that happening. Don't you guys have a little bit of he's got a little Ryan Day in him.
Yeah, but I mean, he's sitting on Arch, and they were just in the Final Four.
Goddamn Arch! I forgot about Arch. Yeah, if Peyton could win, then Arch isn't going to win. That's my best.
Okay.
If Peyton Manning didn't win, then Arch Manning's not going to win.
Yeah,
that's the.
Peyton's one of the best college quarterbacks I've ever seen, and he couldn't win anything. So, yeah, it's the best.
What is he, Cody Rhodes? Like, his dad didn't win, so now he's not going to win.
It's a little different.
It's going to be funny next season when Vanderbilt wins it all.
Yeah.
They're going to wish they didn't give Diego Pavia
I got a Tennessee problem. I might have an LSU problem next year, too. That's
I was also thinking about them as well.
Yeah.
I feel great
Auburn,
about this.
Florida and Auburn are both top 10, too, possibly.
By the way, I'm feeling terrible about the bet I lost that I have to go sit at the Waffle House and eat waffles for 24 hours, but I feel great about this current bet, which we don't have stakes on, and I feel great about my black hole bet about Tom Brady and whether or not he's going to be broadcasting next year or whether he's going to go full on to the Raiders. And if he's not broadcasting next year, if he's one and done, you have to dress up like a member of the black hole. And if he is broadcasting next year, then I have to dress up like a member of the black hole.
Those are big waffles.
Vince Wilfork yesterday, hanging out with our pals Boomer and Gio. Vince Wilfork doesn't think that Brady's going to be broadcasting next year. He's on my side.
He also doesn't think that Brady's doing a good job while broadcasting this year.
And if that gets back to Brady, I'm not sure which way that would go, actually.
I know one thing I know how it's going to go. It's not going to go with him pulling up on Vince Wilfork talking crazy. Vince Wilfork lost 40 pounds. He's still larger than 99% of the people on earth.
Next question.
You know how Tom Brady would be like, oh, Vince Wilfork was a great player. Just gives about 400 platitudes to answer that criticism because that's how Tom Brady rolls.
Yeah. Might put a chip on his shoulder, though. I'll prove Vince wrong. But I don't think so. I think Brady's one and done, and you're going to be dressing up like a black hole.
You suck, Brady.
All right.
Okay,
I'm not even considering buying an outfit. I'm already picturing you in the black hole because that's not happening.
We'll leave it there. We see you guys on the phones. We're asking, our great debate today is the most forgettable NFL head coach of all time, and I love the ones you have, so hang tight. We'll get to all of them. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
After Perloff, he's got an ankle that's tricky. Milky white and hurts, sometimes it's quite picky. Bug bites here and there, make it itch and twitch. Got him looking like he's doing a funny little hitch. Oh, Perloff's ankle, what a show you put on. Twisting and turning from dusk till dawn. We laugh and we cheer as you do your dance. Andrew's ankle, you never miss a chance. His ankle's like a magnet for every bug in town. Mosquitoes have a party, won't leave him alone now. Red and bumpy, itching all night long. Andrew's ankle's got a bitey little song. Oh, Perloff's ankle, what a show you put on. Twisting and turning from dusk till dawn. We laugh and we cheer as you do your dance. Andrew's ankle, you never miss a chance. His ankle's like a magnet for every bug in town. Mosquitoes have a party, won't leave him alone now. Red and bumpy, itching all night long. Andrew's ankle's got a bitey little song. Oh, Perloff's ankle, what a show you put on. Twisting and turning from dusk till dawn. We laugh and we cheer as you do your dance. Andrew's ankle, you never miss a chance. You see him scratching, don't worry, he's alright. Just fending off the bug bites, they're pesky and they bite. It's got rhythm and soul, it's a star in the making. Andrew's ankle, the legend's awakening. Perloff's ankle, what a show you put on. Twisting and turning from dusk till dawn. We laugh.
Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. On Wednesdays, we do the Great Debate. Today's question: The most forgettable NFL head coaching hire. Pearl, they can't all be winners. And judging by the turnover rate in this league, more are losers than winners. But that's not all their fault.
It's funny. We're getting 5 or 6 or 7 coaches getting hired this cycle. 4 of them are going to be disasters. You never see it coming. The other thing, too, is this is a long-standing take of Andrew Perloff. When the media decides what's a good hire and a bad hire, they are most often wrong.
Yet you love Ben Johnson. You're crowning him.
I could definitely be wrong about that. But when they, I saw this ranking, I always remember this one. Doug Peterson was considered the worst hire ever made when the Eagles signed him. And, of course, he won a Super Bowl. We have no idea. And Urban Meyer was considered a good hire by a lot of people. So you just have no idea how it's going to play out.
It's so true. It's so true. So we're asking you for the most forgettable NFL hires. Let's go to Josh, who's in Youngstown. Hey, Josh.
Hey, good morning.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, I mean, you could give a long list of any one of the Browns coaches since 1999, but Mike Pettin was definitely one of the worst.
See, I put Chudzinski. My pick was Rob Chudzinski, who coached right in between Pat Shurmur and Mike Pettin on the Browns, because at least Pettin had 2 seasons. Chudzinski had 1 4-12 year, and then he was out, and we never heard from him again.
Which is probably a good thing. I didn't like him either. I mean, Eric Mangini, Butch Davis, they were all terrible. It's just, really, and this is probably not good to say, but Stefanski's probably the best one we've had since we came back.
Hey, Josh, you remember
NFL.
Chris Palmer? Did you say him?
No, I do remember. I was just looking at a long list of them. I do remember him. I was at the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you'd kill for Butch Davis. At least he went to the playoffs 1 year. Lost the wild card game, but...
Yeah, to the Steelers, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, Josh, I'm going to be honest. This could have just been a Browns great debate, but we appreciate you waiting.
Yeah, I looked at a couple Browns guys, too.
I mean, I had to go with Chudzinski. Can I give you guys another one we haven't talked about? Remember Mark Trestman?
Mark Trestman is a buddy of mine, yeah.
Oh, he's a buddy?
Yeah. Mark Trestman's a genius.
Yeah, he is, but 1 year
Not
with the
a buddy,
Bears,
but
and it was disaster.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Trestman was a real innovator on offense. He probably shouldn't have been a head coach. Did he get another head coaching job in college somewhere? I can't remember.
No, I think he went back to Canada. So he's he's a CFL legend. Won championships. That's why I didn't want to bring him up, because he actually has won at a level of football.
Do you know the show 30 Rock? They insert Mark Trestman jokes because there's a giant CFL fan on the staff. He actually, I think he did get another job after the Bears. Yeah,
Toronto Argos, maybe?
Yeah, the Argonauts. I think they won.
So he was a Ravens offensive coordinator, and then I did see him recently. He was in one of the spring leagues, but now he's with the Chargers too. So, yeah, he's the man. Great guy.
Well, he still could be on this list.
I mean, he's definitely one of those guys. I feel like people like Perloff and people who are in the industry know that he's great, but you tell fans, they're just like, we didn't see it.
Yeah, we missed it.
Right.
He's always linked to Walsh. He's like a real cerebral genius kind of guy.
Let's go to Michael. I'm sorry. He's in Arkansas. Michael, the most forgettable NFL head coach was who?
So when I think of forgettable head coaches, I think of somebody who was around a little bit and not exactly like a disaster. Mike Mularkey coached 3 different teams for 6 total seasons. Do y'all even remember which 3 teams he coached?
Oh, I know one of them. The Buffalo Bills.
Titans, right?
Yeah.
That's Steve.
And he had a stint with the Jaguars where they went 4-12. But he was aggressively mediocre everywhere he was.
Can I tell you the 3 guys I confuse? Mike Mularkey, Doug Marrone, and Ken Wisenhunt. I feel like they were on a 3-person rotation of taking the same job.
They were 2 out of 3 of those were Bills coaches.
Yeah,
so, and I think they all have in common.
And all 3 were Titans coaches, I believe.
Was Marrone?
Oh, maybe not.
Oh, by the way, Michael, you were kind here to Mike Mularkey, 2-14 with the Jags. You gave him 2 more wins.
I mean, it was forgettable. What can I say?
You're so right. And actually, guess what? I'm on his page right now. Mike Mularkey actually replaced Ken Wisenhunt.
Yeah. Doug Marrone
1 year with Tennessee.
Doug Marrone coached the Jags. That's what I thought it was.
Did. So, the AFC Championship game.
So you got
Thank you, Michael.
It's a Bills, Titans, Jags triumvirate of Wisenhunt, Marrone, and Mularkey.
Just the Bermuda Triangle.
And who is the guy? And Mike Munchak is in that too, who also coached the Titans.
Mike Munchak also pretty forgettable.
Munchak, Marrone, and Mularkey. The 3 M's.
Uh-oh. I'm seeing some in the chat also. I want to make sure we get to you guys as well. Some people saying Antonio Pierce is going to be very forgettable. It just was shown the door.
One and dones are easy to forget.
Jeff Saturday. I'll never forget Jeff Saturday.
Nobody will. He's on TV right now. Like he's not forgettable.
The fact that he came out of the broadcast booth mid-season and they thought that was going to work is unreal. Beat the Raiders, lost the rest of their games. There was another one. Oh, Dick Duran. Dick Duran, another Bills coach. Believe the Bears head coach.
I feel if you get 2 head coaching jobs, maybe you shouldn't be on the list.
Pine Needle has Jim Tomsula. Jim Tomsula. You talk about, EJ, that look of just being way in over your head. Jim Tomsula invented that look.
Absolutely.
P. Maddie says Mike Singletary, but Mike Singletary, I think, was too good of a player.
I'll never forget Mike Singletary. That guy dropping his pants in the locker room and telling Vernon Davis to take a hike during the middle of the game. Never forget my favorite head coach, Mike Singletary.
Yeah, you are a huge Michael Singletary. You talk about him as a coach all the time.
It's hilarious. Come on.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Bogusch had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogusch boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch, swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogusch grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch, swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch, swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch, wait. Andrew Perloff, the nerdy king, lost a bet, now he's in his thing. Tom Brady's name was on the line, now he's dressed like this. Oh, what a time.
We got games this weekend. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We'll get back to our great debate in a moment. We know we got Deion to the Cowboys. That has not died down at all. Cowboys looking for a new head coach. But Perloff, let's talk about the divisional round games because we got some doozies this weekend. And if I asked you, of all the teams remaining, the 8 teams remaining, who has the best offense? Straight up, who is your answer?
Okay, this is a hard question because there's 2 elite offenses. Like big time. But I'm going to Detroit Lions. And the reason I say that is because they can beat you in 25 different ways. They can beat you with the run game. They can beat you with a short passing game. They can hit long shots. And if you get into a shootout, to me, the Lions are the scariest team. They obviously have the ingredients, great offensive line, a quarterback who's, when he's on, Jared Goff is as good as anybody. When he hits that sort of Jared Goff mode, just like, I love Ben Johnson being able to call plays with so many different options. To me, they are the juggernaut offensively. Who do you got?
Perfect. Okay, but here's the thing. With that offense, yes, they can be a wagon at times. Absolutely, yes. Right? No doubt. And David Montgomery is healthy now, and he's going to play, so you get the 2-headed monster back of him and Jahmyr Gibbs, all of that. But you have to wonder sometimes, A, in a big game, Jared Goff. 2, the Dan Campbell going for it. You were convinced at one point this season that was the best thing that the Philadelphia Eagles, their potential opponent, had going for them was Dan Campbell's recklessness. Do you, fourth down decisions, which I actually like, but I can understand why other people have problems with. Do you not see that as a liability as much? Okay.
Oh, I definitely think that's a liability. I also think, there's going to be a dumb personal foul that's going to define one of these games. And I'm looking at Jameson Williams. I'm looking directly at him. I think that personal fouls have been were a big deal this weekend. The refs are throwing that flag right now. The refs want a lot of attention, and I think they're going to call a personal foul in that game. And I think the Lions are more likely to lose their cool. But it's close because the Eagles have some hotheads as well, if that game ever came down to it. But as far as the fourth down, I think that speaks also to their offense, the fact that they have so many ways to get a 4th and 3.
That's true.
Listen, that's a big deal. Like whoever can convert those 4th and 3s is going to probably win this whole thing. I like where they're at, but I kind of have an idea where you might go.
Yeah, I think if you're asking me of the divisional round, who has the best offense, we're just talking about the best offense, it's got to be the Ravens. Because here's the thing, in the playoffs, what does it really come down to? I know Lamar Jackson has not played his best, especially last year in the AFC Championship game. But ultimately, what does this really come down to? To me, your quarterback is going to have to do something to win you something. And right now, I think that Lamar Jackson is he and Josh Allen 1-1. Listen, Patrick Mahomes gets the Lifetime Achievement Award on this one, even though their offense is not nearly as scary as it used to be. But I think you have to go with the Ravens because, first of all, you have the rushing attack between Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. So you're controlling the game. That's it. You have a good enough offensive line, clearly, if you're able to run the ball this well. And then with Zay Flowers back this week, you have two great pass-catching tight ends in Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. And I know people don't like to give Rashad Bateman any kind of credit, but I think he actually deserves quite a bit. So I think top to bottom, best offense in the playoffs left are the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, okay. With what if Zay Flowers isn't there? You still say that?
Listen, I don't know, but he is going to be there. It looks like he is. John Harbaugh saying, being kind of cagey about it, but saying, oh, we'll see, but they're not ruling him out.
I mean, listen, it's probably a 1A and a 1B situation. But that being said, I'm not sure that they have a quarterback advantage in this round. Because you did say quarterback Lamar Jackson compared to Jared Goff. I mean, do they even have the quarterback advantage in the divisional round of the playoffs? So how can you call him best offense if he might be the third best quarterback in that conference? You could argue that.
Yeah, but I think with Derrick Henry, you have besides Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley? I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, you're talking about three of the best weapons that exist. Now, here's the funny thing about the Ravens passing attack. Do you guys know this? They are 31st in pass attempts, but they're 7th in yards. So
that's because 9 guys are standing right next to the line of scrimmage praying to tackle Derrick Henry.
I know, but I'm just saying, and they're second in passing TDs. So, they have this very efficient offense as well.
Right, because they run, set you up for the shot. And what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to put your safeties back and hope that Derrick Henry's going to be nice to you? It's an impossible. The run game and also Lamar's deep arm is fantastic. I mean, he is pinpoint down the field. So it's a terrible combination to try and stop the Ravens. But that being said, I don't want to give away my pick. It's going to be awfully cold in Buffalo this weekend. I do not see that offense hitting on all cylinders.
The Ravens offense?
Oh,
they play in the cold weather. It's not like this is the Dolphins.
Everyone says that. You honestly think that it's going to be really cold?
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see about how does the Bills offense do when it's really cold.
I mean, the Bills offense is less explosive than the Ravens. I think they're more suited for this kind of game. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm picking your Bills. I'm sorry. You're probably mad at me. You're probably thinking I'm going to mush them.
You've done this 3 years in a row, and it hasn't worked out. You always pick the Bills in a big game,
but it's
and they end
home.
up losing.
When are you going to? You're at home, Maggie. Tell me how you're not going to win at home.
Well,
it's
listen,
Buffalo.
I'm hoping they do win at home. But here's the thing: you're talking about the weather, and it's going to be really cold in Buffalo. You want to tackle Derrick Henry now when it's like 20 degrees?
That's a problem.
He's already rock solid. It's like trying to tackle a brick wall. Okay.
I just think that, Josh Allen played at Wyoming. I know he's from California. And Lamar Jackson is Florida through and through. And I know he has some good games. I get it, yelled at on Twitter all the time about this. I know he has some good games in the cold, but I guarantee the passing is going to go down. It's just nature. That ball is going to be hard as a rock. Listen. That's the thing. Like, you say the Ravens are the best offense. Are they really that much better than the Bills?
The high in Buffalo on Sunday, 19 degrees. The high.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of college.
Honestly, it's better that they're playing this game on Sunday. Monday, the high's only 12.
And it's at 6:30 at night. The sun is down.
Tuesday, the high's only 10. But the low's only 7.
I miss it.
So not a lot of variance there. Just cold as hell all day.
Okay, I'm taking Detroit. I feel better about Detroit as the best offense because they're the number 1 seed. They're not going outside again. So therefore, they are the best offense left. All right, we're going to do defense?
Yeah, let's do defense. Of all the 8 divisional round, the teams left in the division round, 8 teams, can I talk? Who's got the best defense?
Okay, I hope my dad is not listening because I am not picking the number 1 ranked Philadelphia Eagles defense. I am picking the Kansas City Chiefs as the best defense. And a lot of it has to do with last year. You saw when it comes down to it in the playoffs, Steve Spagnuolo steps it up, their defensive coordinator, and absolutely shut down Lamar Jackson in the AFC title game. I think when they're in a big game, right now, the way the Chiefs are built, their defense is going to step up and maybe be the story of the offseason, just like they were last year.
Well, I mean, this is the formula. I can't say that I disagree with you, but this is the formula. You know, it's all about Mahomes and Kelsey until it's not. And then all of a sudden it's about Chris Jones and Steve Spagnuolo, and it's about,
Carol
Loftus.
Trent
and it's about
McDuffie is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think now they have Bolton and Tranquil healthy. Those guys are great against the run. I think that there's going to be a very, very it's going to be a strategy matchup in the AFC title game if the Chiefs get there. And I just like the way that they approach this. I think they're going to shut down somebody. And Chris Jones could come out as like the Super Bowl MVP because Mahomes isn't doing anything this year. His numbers are so pedestrian. I just think this is going to be a Kansas City defense postseason.
Man, if you're asking me to pick the best defense left in the divisional round, I mean, I'll say hi to Mr. Perloff. It is your Philadelphia Eagles, and you got to hope they play like amazing. And I think they're going to, and I think Stafford's going to really have his hands full. He, looked great against the Vikings. Nothing that Brian Flores was able to do confused Stafford at all. He was awesome against the blitz, all of that stuff. I just think the Eagles, this can't be a fluke. This is, number 1 in yards, number 2 in points allowed. This is a top 5 unit in terms of turnovers, in terms of, opponent first down. And here's the other thing. The offense for the Eagles sometimes takes a minute to get started. They got gifted that turnover at the beginning of the Packer game, which should totally have been overturned. That should not have been Eagles ball
Sacrilege. I disagree, but go ahead.
But anyway, the defense, I think, is what really can help out if the Eagles have another slow start.
Well, I think there are a couple of reasons the defense numbers are so good because the offense has been playing keep away with Saquon Barkley. That run game defines their defense. And maybe so the defense is always fresh. But if they can't establish Barkley and Hurts running the football, then that defense will be tested. I think it is a fluke. I do not think they're that good. I really do not. And for example, they played the Steelers, remember? That defense didn't see the field the entire game. They'll just keep getting first down. I think they're going to be tested in a brand new way. Maybe not by the Rams, but by the Lions for sure. So you ask, will that hold up? Do you really think it's going to hold up against that Lions offense?
No, you got to hope that go on these super long drives, and because the Lions are a quick strike offense. They can make up so much ground in such a short amount of time. So you just got to play keep away.
The Eagles defense did destroy Matthew Stafford earlier in the season.
Yep.
The one guy who gave him a hard time, Jaden Daniels, in their most recent game ran a lot. So maybe if they run into a running quarterback like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson down the road. I don't know. I just am not as convinced of the defense as you are. You make a good argument, their numbers are fantastic. But what if I gave you the Chiefs defense and the Eagles defense? Who would you have more faith in? I would have to say Chiefs because we've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, the defense for the Eagles did a great job against Baltimore during the regular season, beat them 24-19.
I have no idea how that happened. I don't know how the Eagles came out of that place with a W. That is awesome.
The best individual, units left, the best offense left, the best defense. I don't know if you have a thought on special teams.
I don't have a thought on special teams.
Notre Dame is the best special teams left.
Are there any super kickers left? Let's see. Because nobody can kick anymore. So,
I love a good punt inside the 5.
Manny loves punts.
Is Harrison Butker, he's had a down year, right?
Well, he's been hurt.
Yeah. But he's back, isn't he?
Who is the best kicker left? Oh, that's interesting. Gosh, we're not a surface show.
Because Chris Boswell had the great year, right?
Yeah, everyone can do 30,000 feet. Who's the MVP, Lamar or Josh Allen? Every sports talk radio show in America can do that. Who's asking you who's the best kicker left?
Well,
finally!
Kicking's
not Tyler
a
Bass.
Big deal this year, right? The Eagles, you saw against the Packers, they wouldn't even try the long field goal. They used to have a star, and now he's not good. I don't know.
Who's got the best kicker left? Is it Kai Fairbairn? Texans?
Is Tucker still the man?
He's had some big misses recently, too.
Well, so everyone's had big misses. Yeah. Justin Tucker's been totally off his game. Jake Elliott hasn't been good. Tyler Bass is an adventure. He'll miss an extra point with the best of them.
Yeah, you say kickers aren't important. You complain about Tyler Bass all the time.
It's like a cottage industry. I do interviews in Buffalo just about the kicking situation on their radio stations.
You guys need help.
I commend them. We let off.
I know.
What about the kicking situation? big question mark.
I mean,
Buffalo, New York, kicking outside. You got to be dead eye.
Coming up next with Howard and Joe.
Something like that.
It's just so funny to me that the guys, like the ultimate stars, Justin Tucker, Butker, Jake Elliott, like they were amazing. And now that you can't even feel confident on anything with them.
What national morning show in America is breaking down the kicking situation?
Nobody.
I disagree.
EJ, this is your worst nightmare as an executive producer. Like, get off the kicker thing.
Back
to the quarterbacks.
100% disagree with you guys on that. I bet you kicking, this is the NFL. Kicking's a huge deal. Like, this is our national obsession. You don't think people are going to be talking about Justin Tucker in 3 days? We're just early.
It's a Wednesday topic. It's funny. Andrew Brandt, the former Packers executive, always says kickers are like lawyers. It's only when you really need one that you start thinking about it. Something like that.
Let a naysayer know.
Let's go to our pal Big Friendly. He's in California. Gigantic Rams fan. Big Friendly, how are you?
Good morning, Maggie Malone. EJ the EP, 411, Daddy Cool, and my man, Manny Dingo. How you doing this morning? Thank you for taking my call.
Well done. Definitely an upgrade. Let's sit with it for a little bit and see if we like it, or we'll go back to the workshop.
Okay. Now, real quick, the worst Rams coach in my lifetime was the gentleman who got into it with Jim Hardball after the Lions-Niner game. Was it Schultz?
Wait, who?
There was a coach for the Detroit Lions that got into it with
Schwartz.
Jim Hardball.
Jim Schwartz.
Jim Schwartz used to be the Rams head coach. Worst ever in the world.
He was the Rams head coach?
Yeah, Schwartz and Spagnuolo were both coaches between Martz and Jeff Fisher.
Get out of here. You might win this because I have no recollection of that at all. No, he wasn't the head coach. Jim Schwartz?
Didn't he have an
Schwartz
aggressive
was the head
handshake
coach of
with
the Rams?
Yes.
Didn't he have an aggressive
Him and
handshake
Harbaugh
with
got
somebody?
into it with the Lions.
No, he was only the head coach of the Lions from 2009 to 2013.
He wasn't the Rams head coach?
No, we'll find you who it was. There's someone else.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
Because I know you guys got to get back to what you're doing.
Sure.
But I wasn't able to call yesterday, and
We have
I'm
this
sure you
important
guys
kicking
talked about.
conversation going on.
Hey, Joshua Carty's the best kicker left in the playoffs. Leave it alone.
Might be right.
Real quick. Yesterday, I'm sure everybody, because I wasn't able to get to your show, but everybody was really down on Sam Darnold. Now, I'm not going to sit here and jump on the man. The man's doing bad. But can we please go back to that fourth down call in the second quarter when I believe it was like just a little under 2 minutes? And is it Kevin O'Connell?
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin O'Connell called a fourth down on his side of the field when they were only down by 10. You punt the ball, play defense, get the ball back. So if you ask me, once again, Sam Darnold had a bad day. The Rams defense laid the sledgehammer. Perloff, get ready. We're coming. But coaching, once again, why are you not going for field goals? Why are you not punting the ball? Live to play another down.
I disagree on that one, Big Friendly. They were down 17-3, right? Or was that only 10 at that point?
Yeah, they were down 17-3. So if you punt the ball and your defense holds, because if you remember, the last two drives before that, the Rams were 3 and out. The defense actually was playing with a little bit of something.
Well, then they went for it on the second. When you go for it on fourth down and take a 23-yard sack, that's what really drives me crazy. Just throw the ball down the field, Sam Darnold. But I hear you. I don't know. I mean, I think there is an argument to be aggressive in that situation because you were down 17-3, but it felt like you were getting blown out.
Well, because right before that was this the fumble touchdown? It was the Jared Verse scoop and score, 57 yards. That's what made it 17-3. So now you got the Vikings down 17-3.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty serious deficit, and you're at midfield. I think you kind of have to go for it on fourth.
Interesting.
Okay, but Daddy Cool, real quick before let me go. I agree with you, Daddy Cool, but it's the second quarter. You're only down by 10. There's under 2 minutes.
Down by 14.
The ball back at halftime.
I'm sorry. You're down by 14.
It was 17-3. Oh, yeah, 14. My apologies. They were down by 14. You still get the ball back after halftime.
Yeah.
The Dan Campbell rule, everybody just going for it, that's why they're not winning. Thank you for taking my call, and you guys have a great day.
Big Friendly, loving the showdown between your Rams and Perloff's Eagles. We never got a chance to play this yesterday, but I think it's worth it. Not to pour salt in the wound of the Vikings fans, but we had Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings, was on our show before the playoff game. Even he was beyond frustrated with Sam Darnold. Here is Paul Allen during the game.
Him, Aaron Jones, Addison in motion to the right. Two receivers left. Rams blitz. Darnold gets away from it. Steps up in the pocket. He's holding it too long. Just run. Throw it, man. Just run. At the 25-yard line, he's sacked for a 5th time.
I think this is the one we're talking about. This might have been the 5th sack. Oh, no. I think the 4th and 2 was the 6th sack of the first half. Apologies.
There's really no holding it too long and on 4th down.
Yeah, that's true.
Sam Darnold, he's not slow by any means. He should have run. I know there weren't a lot of lanes, but he definitely got what I know. The seeing ghosts. Everyone says he sees ghosts. That was his famous quote with the Jets. This happens at quarterback where they just can't throw the ball. They can't let it rip. Their brain will say, no, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. He definitely got whatever that is. That happened to him on Sunday.
Well, throw it, man. I think guys get obsessed about not wanting to throw interceptions.
Well, it's not. Yes, not like Russell Wilson, who avoids interceptions, so he has the best passer rating in the NFL. I think
in the playoffs, they probably say, listen, number one thing, can't turn the ball over. Meanwhile, they had the sack, fumble, scoop, and score, the Jared Verse thing. But
Darnold was afraid to throw. Why didn't he throw it out of bounds?
He didn't know what was going on. And it's funny, we just asked who's got the best offense left, who's got the best defense left. And defense, none of us said the Rams.
Well, but they're not.
They looked great. That defense looked suffocating. You're saying Sam Darnold had no running lanes.
Oh,
had no this or that.
I mean, the Rams are a good defense, but I don't think that this year they've been like that.
No, not throughout the season, but look how they're playing now. We didn't say who's got the best defense of the year. We just said who's playing the best.
I'm just looking at personnel. I mean, you have Chris Jones is the new Aaron Donald. He might not get Defensive Player of the Year every year, but he's right there. Then the Eagles have a little bit of special sauce because they have Jalen Carter. I don't know. Jared Verse is really good, but I think the Eagles are going to run at Jared Verse. Then we'll see how effective he is. Jared Verse, you need to be in passing down so he can stream across the edge. Yeah, the Rams are good, but are they even the next one? I think there's some other really good
the Texans defense looked really good against the Chargers.
Yeah, the Texans have these stars everywhere.
Chargers had a little something to do with that too.
Well, the Texans defense should be on paper is as good as anyone.
So we asked who's the best offense and defense left. I went with the Ravens for offense and defense. Perloff's Philadelphia Eagles. You think it is the Lions are the best offense left?
Yeah, and then the Chiefs, I know, weren't the best during the year. They're close. They had a really good year. But I am not betting, and I think it's coaching too. I think Steve Spagnuolo, who's got a couple interviews, by the way, I think he's the best defensive coordinator left in a big-time situation. And you know what I'm basing that on? A few Super Bowls, Maggie.
I know. Took him long enough to get another head coaching job, or another head coaching interview. EJ, did we get it right?
I like the Chiefs pick. It pains me because the Chiefs drive me crazy, but they almost remind me of like a playoff pitcher. I don't care what they did in the regular season. I expect the Chiefs defense to be awesome in the postseason.
And they were good this year.
Right? They weren't even bad. I know they had Bryce Young kind of lit them up a little bit. They had a couple of weird spots, but for the most part,
they were up. They fell asleep because they were up so much of that game. That Bryce Young didn't light up anyone. Okay. Sorry.
We get back to our great debate, which we do every Wednesday. Today's debate: who was the most forgettable NFL head coach? No, not memorable, not the good. We're asking for the bad, for the embarrassing. Who was the most forgettable NFL coach of all time? And we also will get to the Packers. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
The nerdy king lost a bet, now he's in his thing. Tom Brady's name was on the line, now he's dressed like this. Oh, what a time! Spikes on his helmet, glowing red eyes, chains on his chest like he's raiding the skies. Silver and black, he's over the top. At the football game, they'll never stop. Oh, Andrew Perloff, Raider fan, lost a bet, now he's the man. Skinny pirate in the black hole stands, cheering like he's got the team in his hands. Tom Brady won and Perloff lost. Now he's paying the ultimate cost. A foam sword swings as he waves his flag. A nerdy pirate with his Raider swag. For a gas fight, jersey torn. He's the loudest nerd ever born. Raider Nation, he cries with glee, but deep inside it like the flame. Oh, Andrew Perloff, Raider fan, lost the bet, now he's the man. Where the pirates fly and
3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Great debate today. Most forgettable NFL head coach of all time. Maybe you've forgotten them, or maybe you want to forget them. I went with Cameron, former Miami Dolphins coach. Maggie?
I went with Rob Chudzinski, a 4-12, one-and-done year with the Cleveland Browns. EJ's on the phone talking to callers right now. He went with Lou Holtz as the Jets head coach, which is a sentence that doesn't feel like it goes together. Manny?
I picked Joe Judge because I'd like to forget him.
And Bogusch picked Freddie Kitchens, who also had a one-and-done year with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns make this list a couple different times. Yeah. Santos is in Arkansas, wants to weigh in. The most forgettable NFL head coach was who?
Wayne Fontes of the Detroit Lions.
Hold on, Santos. Wayne Fontes wasn't a great head coach, but he coached for 9 years. It's too long to forget him.
What happened was... I just think he was a very lackluster coach, but, he had no emotion. I mean, he did a great job, and I don't think he got a job after he left Detroit.
No, he definitely did not. Definitely not, Santos. Thank you for the call. How about our own Pete Bellotti weighing in on X?
What's he got?
Love Pete. He said Nick Saban. See, I think Nick Saban, it's memorable because it directly is the predecessor of his Alabama run.
Great time.
Without the Miami debacle, you never get the Alabama success. He also said Al Groh.
That's the pick. His second pick was good.
Al Groh is a great pick.
The Saban one, I didn't see.
Saban, the funny thing is, Saban is it's a symbol for the ultimate bad personnel decision, taking Dante Culpepper over Drew Brees. Culpepper, great quarterback, but never even approached healthy. And then Brees got healthy the next year, and Saban's back at Alabama. Changed college football forever that they did not sign Drew Brees.
Man, isn't that the truth? Nadal is our pal in Dallas. Nadal, who is the most forgettable head coach of all time?
Good morning. Good morning. I had to give EJ a hard time a minute ago because he was all over my Chiefs. But so speaking of the Chiefs, I mean, before Mahomes, I went through 34 years of hell. So I'm trying to enjoy it while it lasts.
By the way, before you even say who you're going to say, I can't even think of the Chiefs coaches before Andy Reid. Was it Todd Haley there at some point? I can't remember any of them.
Yeah, you're right, Perloff. Todd Haley was on my list of who to tell you. There's Frank Gans, Gunther Cunningham.
You remember Herm. Yeah. Herm was there. Herm
I vaguely remember Herm.
Herm Edwards had a horrible winning percentage, for 3 seasons. He got us a playoff berth 1 year, but we were one and done.
I actually forgot Herm was in Kansas City. I remember Herm very well as a Jets, but go ahead.
Yes. So if I had to pick out of all those gentlemen, to put it lightly, I would say Romeo Crennel.
Forgettable.
No, he had too many roles in the NFL.
Yeah, I guess you could defend him that way, maybe, but I don't know, man. These conspiracy theorists say, former Raiders player, and maybe he sabotaged the Chiefs on purpose. I don't know.
Oh my gosh! That he infiltrated from the inside just
from
to
the
sabotage.
Inside, Maggie, that's right.
The calls coming from inside the house. Nadal, what's
from inside the house?
What's
that's
the vibe in Dallas today? You guys want Deion Sanders, or who do you want to be the next head coach of the Cowboys?
Yeah, I was trying to call yesterday. So I've been talking to people like I do every morning. They're happy McCarthy's gone, but this whole Deion thing, it's a circus. I mean, he's gonna light up Jerry's world with the entertainment aspect and the stars, and I don't know if he's gonna bring Warren Sapp with him and the whole entourage, but they don't really want that either. I mean, It's just going to be back to square one at that point. They just want to win for one freaking year,
Nadal, I get it. And this is what we said.
I feel bad for Dak, but they just need guidance,
Well, Dak's highly paid. But, yeah, I get it. Nadal, and thank you so much. Romeo Crennel is funny. Romeo Crennel, his record with Kansas City was 4-15 in 1.5 years. We're asking who the most forgettable NFL head coach of all time. But this is why I started off the show talking about the Deion Sanders to Dallas. I think that it landed with a thud amongst Dallas Cowboy fans. The outside world loves this, too. Flashy franchise, flashy Deion. But I don't think the fans want this.
Love it because they want to cover it. I haven't seen anyone say Deion's going to take the Cowboys to the Super Bowl. Like, that's not really been the take.
No, but I can see how it would work, though. Like, I've laid out that he is good at hiring good assistants, and, maybe he gets Jerry's ear because Jerry obviously has to respect Deion from the playing days, and maybe, he can motivate guys, leader of men type stuff. I can see it working. I just don't think Cowboy fans want this.
I mean, everybody, if the name was Bill Belichick and not Deion Sanders, then Cowboys fans would be thrilled, right?
Well, there's a little something different between Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders. One has 6 Super Bowl rings and one has 0 as a coach.
No, actually, I guess that's quite an obvious point by me. But it's interesting, that's who they want, and I assume Ben Johnson's who the second thing. But this is the Cowboys. I don't think they hire either of these guys. They are the most boring hiring team of all time. They had Jason Garrett for 9 years, and nobody understood what was going on. He was 8-8 for about a decade.
EJ had a good analogy yesterday about the Bill Belichick Dallas Cowboy, because the report from Jordan Schultz was, had Belichick not taken the job, the Cowboys, the North Carolina job, the Cowboys would have been interested, and vice versa. And EJ, you said this is like showing up at your class reunion, and the pretty girl says, I had a crush on you, but you never asked me out.
Yeah, that always happens. It's never, to be honest, it's never happened to me. but I've seen this happen to a lot of folks, and people will say that. And I'm like, why would you ever say that to somebody? Like, why would we learn this?
Yeah, like Belichick, in a different universe.
Yeah.
Oh, what could have been? It's like, well, that doesn't do us any good now.
Yeah, it doesn't do any good.
Because also, it's a lie. There's no way Jerry Jones is letting a name like Belichick in the house. Right. I mean, that was.
I thought you were like, it's a lie. There's no way the pretty girl is always like.
Well, right. No, but it isn't. Yeah, when the pretty girl says, "Yeah, I had it," that's also a lie. But it's the same kind of lie. Like Jerry was not hiring Bill Belichick because he does not want to share the spotlight with Bill Belichick. Right. He's not changing that much. Maybe
Yet he's interested potentially in Deion Sanders. I mean,
well, Deion's his guy though. Like Deion was a player, and I still think that's a bit of a problem too. I think it's more like Kellen Moore or Cliff or somebody who's
Jason Witten is getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, somebody who's low wattage seems like Jerry's. By the way, do you guys know Gunther Cunningham was just mentioned?
Yeah.
EJ, did you know that is Gunther, the wrestler's dad? I don't know if you're aware of that.
There's no way that's true. Are you serious?
Yeah.
There's no way that's true. This guy.
I just wanted to get your attention.
No way that's true. Gunther
it is
from
not
Austria?
true.
No.
Is he actually from Austria, or is that a fake accent?
No, he's actually from Austria.
Gunther Cunningham is also from Germany, so that could have been true, but that is not true. A long-time defensive
Can you have
coordinator.
an American-born Gunther? I don't think we do that here.
Yeah, no, I don't think we do. But Gunther Cunningham is
can name
not
them
forgettable
1, 2, 3,
because
and
I always
4.
thought it was cool that there was a coach named Gunther. I thought that was awesome.
It is a cool name.
Like, doesn't
Gunther
that-
and Gunner,
Yeah.
like Boomer's son. Gunner is a cool name, too.
Right, like nobody knows where he coached or when he coached, but Gunther Cunningham, yeah, it sounds kind of familiar, right? Like
He's one of those guys that was a coordinator for like every NFL team.
Yeah.
Too. Like I think every NFL team had him running their defense at some point.
I could have sold you. I should have stuck with it, huh?
EJ wasn't biting on
You're
that.
like, wait, that's not true. Is that true? Gunther.
You were like the kombucha lady for that. The meme of the woman who tries kombucha for the first time and can't tell if she likes it or not. That's an extremely online reference. Bogusch is here with
your
some
phones.
headlines.
Oh,
I know.
wow.
Guys, we cannot escape Deion and Shador. Last night's Nuggets-Mavs game in Dallas should have been a Sanders-free zone, but Deion was watching, and he tweeted that he wanted the jacket Greg Anthony was wearing on TNT, which led to this, starring Anthony, Iron Eagle, Jared Greenberg, and Shador.
And apparently Jared is now taking your jacket.
I think he's going to give it to Shador to give to his dad.
He's giving it to Shador. Shador is very perplexed. Jared is now explaining to him, your dad tweeted that he's going to want that jacket. Jared is saying, take the jacket. Shador said, for real? He said, yes. This is your jacket now. Okay, I got you. Yeah, serious? Yes.
Thank you.
That happened. Yeah, all right. Shador now is looking at it like, seriously? I got to now bring this around?
Poor Shador.
You got to carry a coat now.
He had no idea, and he shouldn't have, what was going on. He was sitting like 2 seats to the left of Ian and Greg Anthony, and all of a sudden, Jared Greenberg was standing in front of his face with a microphone and a black and white suit jacket.
It's a little like it's got some like Debo from Friday vibes. Like, I'm gonna need that jacket. Like, wait, what?
I don't think Deion was threatening Greg Anthony.
No, he wasn't. I actually went to the tweet. It was far from it. He just said, "I need that blazer that Greg Anthony has on tonight."
You got knocked the out, man.
And he apparently has it now, or he will have it shortly.
Here comes Jared. Hide your chains. He's demanding people give away their clothes.
As for the game, Jamal Murray scored 45. The Nuggets won it 118-93. Dallas did get Kyrie back from a 5-game injury absence. He only scored 11, hitting just 4 of 18 shots. Trae Young put 43 on the Suns in a 122-117 Hawks win. Phoenix hasn't won in Atlanta since March of 2014. And the Cavs snapped the Pacers' 6-game win streak, 127-117 in Indy. The SEC ate some of its own last night. Men's number 4 Alabama losing at home to number 21 Ole Miss 74-64, and unranked Mizzou an 83-82 winner at 5th-ranked Florida. But number 1 Auburn did handle number 15 Mississippi State 88-66. Number 7 Marquette needed overtime to down DePaul 85-83, keeping DePaul's last Big East win on March 8th of 2023.
Damn.
They are almost
How much did gas cost then?
They are almost 2 years in between conference wins.
I don't get why DePaul can't be good at basketball.
100% agree.
It's Chicago. Like, there are basketball players literally on any corner.
Yep.
You find somebody that can play basketball. Why are they so terrible?
They can't get the 7th man from Simeon?
Seriously. He could probably start for DePaul tomorrow.
Do they still play at the old Rose Horizon, or do they move somewhere else?
They have a brand new arena that's actually also supposed to be really nice.
On campus.
On campus. They just built this. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I hear you.
And their uniforms are so cool. Colors are cool.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you apply that logic, then why hasn't St. John's won?
Different. St. John's at least has been, air quotes, good. DePaul has been terrible.
That's true.
Like the worst in the Big East forever.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
why are they, like, St. John's has been, like, not that great, but they've been okay.
Or like UCLA should be like of the Wooden era. Like we're talking about the hotbeds of where you find basketball players. Los Angeles, Chicago, New York.
But if UCLA was, like, 0-19 in Pac-12 or Big Ten play
For 2 years.
we would say, this is weird. Like, they're not that bad.
That's
It's
true.
DePaul. It's Chicago. I don't get it. It's crazy.
I feel like basketball players have moved around a lot, though. I don't feel like these cities are the hotbeds they once were. Maybe I feel like now players are, and they travel a lot. They're all like in some school in Florida. You know what I mean?
IMG
Like,
Academy.
yeah,
Very
it just
true.
feels like the game has changed. It's not the city game anymore. I'm not sure if that's true. You just pick a kid because that kid was already picked off to go to high school in Orlando like 3 years before.
I know, but you would think some of these kids want to go back to where they're from, which is what happens sometimes.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Or like weren't good enough as sophomores to get to IMG, so they're still in Chicago.
Exactly.
On the women's side last night, Iowa State beat Texas Tech 71-58, but did not hit a three-pointer, ending their NCAA record streak 945 consecutive games with a triple. That dates back to February of 95. So you asked how much a gas cost back. I don't know that. But in February of 95, there was no WNBA, and UConn had won 0 national titles.
Wow.
That is the most random record I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
Didn't hit a three-pointer. You would hate that type of basketball, Pearl.
You do love threes.
Oh, I love.
But you also love Audie Crooks, who's on that team.
That's
Audie Crooks is awesome.
I thought you were talking about UConn. This is Iowa State you're talking about?
Yes.
I wasn't listening for the first part of that
Thank
story.
you. Moving on, the NFL debuts in Berlin this fall. The Colts will be the home team for that game. Today's head coaching interviews include Mike McCarthy with the Bears and Broncos D coordinator Vance Joseph with the Jets. Novak Djokovic surprisingly needed 4 sets to survive round 2 of the Aussie Open. That was his record-setting 430th singles match at a major in the Open era. He was level with Roger Federer. And we finish on a high note. The Rangers about to win in Colorado last night, but gave up a goal with less than 90 seconds left, and then overtime didn't go well either.
High in the zone, McKinnon, one-timer Taves, he scores! It's a laser from Taser, his second OT winner of the season, and you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here because this party is over. Once again, like Lazarus, the Avalanche come back from the dead, down 2-1, but never out.
That guy's really annoying when your team's involved.
He's really into it. You got to give him that.
I thought he was actually a little down this time. Usually he gives it like the Bruce Buffer. There's a little more growl to it. Last night was a little more matter of fact.
But I think it was his Lazarus reference that led to your Cain and Abel.
Yeah, I was hoping we could gloss that.
Colorado won this game 3-2. The Rangers did extend their point streak, though, to 5 whole games. So look out. They're back. How's that
Rangers
going?
are back.
Yeah,
They're so back.
There it is. Thanks, Manny.
Good for you guys.
So they'll lose to the Pistons tomorrow night. Great.
We have a
The Rangers?
major show update for you. Major show news, network news, in fact. Got a big announcement that will come to you right after this break. Also, we've been saying it, going to get to it. Did not like what I heard from the Packers yesterday. We'll finally get to that story next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Got a big show announcement, big network announcement in just one moment. But first, I want to touch on the Green Bay Packers from yesterday. So doing a postmortem, everyone's cleaning out their locker, and Matt LaFleur, the head coach, is talking about changes that need to happen moving forward for the Packers to get back on top. So here's Matt LaFleur talking about his quarterback, Jordan Love, and how he needs to evolve to become more of a vocal leader.
I think the next step is just to continue to evolve as a vocal leader. I think that just kind of comes with the position naturally. And I think he's taken steps to get there. And but I think he can really demand a lot because the locker room respects. They respect him, and they respect him not only as a person but by the work he puts in.
Okay, here's more from LaFleur saying that Jordan Love could have a greater influence on the locker room than the coaches can.
They all respect him, but I think he can, when things aren't quite right, I think he can voice that as well. You know, when guys aren't quite doing what they're supposed to be doing. And he's one of the guys I kind of talk to about that, you know, because I just think it means more when it comes from your quarterback than it does from me or one of our other coaches.
Okay, that sounds fine and that sounds good and makes sense. But there's a part of this, Perloff, and you and I know this because we've covered professional sports for a long time. If you already have the respect and the quarterback already has the respect, forcing him to be someone he's not is the quickest way that he's going to lose respect in the locker room. If you're not a vocal leader, you're not a rah-rah guy, you can't force that because the first people who are going to see through that and see how inauthentic that is are the rest of the guys in the locker room. They're professionals. They don't want eyewash guy, rah-rah guy. It's one thing when it's Jameis Winston. That does not look like an act. Or it's Baker Mayfield.
Well,
I don't think that's an act.
But those are somewhat irrelevant because those guys, well, Jameis is irrelevant because he's never won. Like, we're talking about, like, taking a team. Like, let's keep it to real quarterbacks.
Well, I'm just saying there are guys
prepare for battle.
There are guys who this comes naturally to
I know
them.
what you mean. I know what you mean. Okay,
Jalen Hurts went to the Super Bowl, took your Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl. Nobody thinks he's a rah-rah guy. You can't make him be that because it's going to look totally phony. And if the dudes in the locker room already respect him by how he prepares, grinds film, approaches his rehab, how he plays in big moments, that's what you need more than him giving some ridiculous pregame speech or telling guys, hey, you better show up on time.
Yeah, I hear you. It makes me wonder, like, what are the quarterbacks that are still alive? Is Mahomes a rah-rah guy? He's so quiet. I mean, he's so, like, normal in press conferences.
No, I think on the sidelines, I think Mahomes is walking around, revving people up.
But he's so positive. He's not a, like, hold you accountable guy. Like, Brady's a hold you accountable guy. And is Lamar Jackson a hold you accountable guy? Is Josh Allen a hold you accountable guy? They all seem kind of mellow to me, which is funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just don't know if if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm passing the buck here, you know? If your quarterback is not that dude who's going to call out guys for loafing it on a practice on a Wednesday, then don't add that to his plate. You know, playing quarterback in the NFL is hard enough, and this is one of the youngest teams in the NFL. If anybody should have the ear of this team, it's the head coach. It's not like you're dealing with a bunch of salty veterans in here. This is literally the youngest team in the NFL.
But then why do we always talk about leadership and quarterbacks then? Like, that is obviously part of the job.
I think it can show itself in different ways, though. I don't think you always need your quarterback to be the most vocal.
No, maybe not the most vocal, but I think he's saying, Jordan, you have to lead more. Like the way Brady led, the way Mahomes leads. Like, maybe the vocal part isn't right, but he definitely, maybe there's something missing there. I don't totally understand it because it seems to me like injuries were the only thing that happened to them this year, especially in that game when Elton Jenkins went out on the third play or something. Like, okay, what's Jordan Love going to do here? It doesn't strike me as a team. I feel like they're just young. They got hurt this year. They're developing. It didn't seem like a team in crisis. So I think you bring up a great point. Like, why does Matt LaFleur even have to say this?
Yeah, you already said the most important part. The guys in the locker room respect him. That's it.
Right. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe, you know, he looked really rattled on Sunday. Matt LaFleur did. Did you notice there were a lot of things where, like, he's like, I don't understand why you just did that to his teammates. He was very upset throughout the whole game. I thought he was mad at the officials, but he was also mad at his own team.
Well, I thought the turnover in the beginning of the game, I mean, that maybe threw him off his rocker a little bit because that was egregious.
He kind of looked rattled in all these last big games. Remember the Detroit game? He got into it with the fan.
Yeah.
He looked rattled the rest of that game. I think the Minnesota Viking game on the road, they started out kind of shaky. He was getting on the rest of that game. And I agree, Pearl. I think in Philly, he also he looked out of character to end the season.
Yeah. The personal foul that kept that Eagles last drive alive, the last key drive, he was furious. You know, it's funny, Matt LaFleur, he's interesting because he has won a ton, but is he a Super Bowl winning coach? I don't know.
Manny, let's get the drum roll. very important show announcement and network announcement. We are so proud to announce that Infinity Sports Network is now on SiriusXM channel 375. There we go, guys. 375. Let's get it. It's all about the 375 right now on Sirius. We know a lot of you guys listen to us on Sirius. You can listen to us on all of the Infinity Sports Network affiliates, on the free Odyssey app. You can watch us on YouTube, on Twitch, on X. But most importantly, if you listen to us on Sirius XM, the big news, channel 375.
Nice. We got to figure out ways so everybody can remember that easier. Shorthands. By the way, the area code 375, you know what that is. Turns out it's Belarus. So maybe not that. But maybe that'll, yeah, if you're calling Belarus, tune in 375. We should figure out some fun ways to remember that later in the week.
Could have given me 1,000 guesses. Wouldn't have gotten Belarus. EJ, Manny, Bogusch, and Kaplan, thank you.